This time Smith outside the off stump. So, well, we've seen a couple beating the edge. We've seen a couple of what was no more than a defensive shot going for 3, really, with a misfield, a lovely drive for 4, and of course that sharp for the court behind down the leg side. Apart from that, it was fairly quiet. So 54 for 2, Smith 9 and Pope 8. I'm going to make way for Paul Newton. In fact, maybe Mark will come in first for you,
yes,
Johnny, because I've got to 3:15, and then as soon as you're in and Mark's able to start the commentary, I'll bring Paul back. But yeah, 54 for 2, and we're about to go into the 16th over to be bowled by Simon Harmer. So very much a good half hour for Essex that. And here is, as Harmer comes into bowl, here's Mark.
Over the wicket he comes, and looking to drive is Ollie Pope, using his feet, looking to go through extra cover. Almost yorked himself a touch there, and stabbed it back down the pitch. Harmer's bowled beautifully so far. 54 for 2, Surrey. As Harmer over the wicket he comes, forward goes Ollie Pope. Pushes this one down into the leg side. He's got such great control, Simon Harmer. And as Nick Gledhill was saying, of his 71 wickets, 49 have come here at Chelmsford. As over the wicket he comes to Pope, who's forward and pushing this one out into the offside. And a very warm welcome to listeners on BBC Radio 5 Live Sports Extra here at Chelmsford, opening day of this crucial championship match for Essex against Surrey. As Harmer is in to Ollie Pope, who's looking to tuck this one leg side, and it's just landing in front of Tenduscarter in there at short leg, diving away to his right hand side, the captain. We didn't get underway till 2:15 due to bad light all morning, and Surrey's decision changed. Cloudy grey this morning. I think they would have bowled as Harmer is in, and Pope lets this one go that bounces outside his off stump. Wheater taking that away to his right, but then by the time they got out there for the toss at about 5-2, it looked a bit brighter. The forecast for tomorrow is better, and Ben Folkes, captaining Surrey in this game, decided to have a toss and decided to bat first. As Harmer is in, and Ollie Pope drives out towards Brown, who does the fielding in there at extra cover, and there's no run. Maiden over from Simon Harmer, 54 for 2. Those 2 wickets then to have gone. Mark Stoneman, LBW to Jamie Porter for 16, and then Scott Borthwick opening for Surrey in this game, caught behind off Porter for 21. Young Jamie Smith out there at the moment alongside Ollie Pope. Smith has 9, Pope has 8, and alongside me, Mark Churches, BBC Essex's Paul Newton. And Paul, after a pretty solid start from Stoneman and Borthwick, very good from Porter, but Harmer, he's just got the ball on a piece of string at the moment.
Well, yes, a very difficult chance from Ollie Pope before he got off the mark to short mid-wicket. Dan Lawrence got a hand to it, but just couldn't quite hold on as Cook comes in to begin the next over from the Hayes close end, and a boundary. Beautifully played off the back foot as Cook strayed in length there, bowled it too short, bit too much width, and nicely worked away by Jamie Smith to the point boundary. He moves up to 13 and Surrey to 58 for 2. Surrey, who raced along to 36 without loss before Porter struck. First of all, having Stoneman LBW for 16, and then in his next over, Scott Borthwick caught behind by Adam Wheater for 20, wickets at 36 and 37. Cook is in, bowls to Smith, and this ball is played to short square leg. Ravi Bopara, there's no run, 58 for 2 in the 17th, and had that sharp chance been taken by Dan Lawrence to get rid of Pope before he'd scored, Surrey would then have declined. I think the score was about 39 at the time, so it would have been 39 for 3. But since then, Pope has looked a little bit more assured.
They might have declared at 39
yes.
for 3.
And here comes Cook again from the Hayes close end. 3 slips in the gully. Bowls, and that's a leave outside off stump by Smith. The light, which prevented any play before 2:15, is not a whole lot better now. It is distinctly better than it was, but it's still fairly borderline, and at this time of year, unless the clouds rise considerably, the cloud level rises considerably, I think we're going to do very well to get all that much play in after 5 o'clock. As Cook who began from the river end, now switching to the Hayes close end. In a bowl, that's a good delivery. Takes Smith on the pad. Ball rebounds to Bopara, just in front of the square leg umpire. And there is no run. 58 for 2. Smith has 13 and Pope 8.
The other thing that Harmon's done, which is what he's done here at Chelmsford all season, is just shut down one end. So there aren't any runs coming from the river end.
No. Really, the ideal way to play Harmer is to use your feet and attack him, but there is a risk involved in that, and in county cricket, when you're already a couple of wickets down, not too many batsmen are prepared to take that risk as Cook's in and bowls. Nicely defended into the offside, no run to Brown, closing from point, score remaining at 58 for 2, and to come for Surrey, Jacks Folkes, who's captain, Clark, the two Clarks, one with a knee, one without. Liam Plunkett playing his first championship game since the last time these two sides met in April at the Oval. Morkel and Verdi. And Essex unchanged from a rather undistinguished draw at Edgbaston are Brown, Cook, Wesley, Lawrence, Bopara, Tenduscarter, Wheater, Harmer, Beard, Cook and Porter. Sam Cook, Hayes close end, charges in again, bowls, and again defended into the offside to Nick Brown at point by Jamie Smith. The over ends with Surrey choosing to bat in 17 overs, 58 for 2, with 13 to Jamie Smith and 8 to Ollie Pope.
Yeah, just for listeners on BBC Radio 5 Live Sports Extra, the reason we're talking about Simon Harmer is 71 championship wickets this season, 49 here at Chelmsford. Essex have won every game at Chelmsford so far this season in the championship. Outstanding from Harmer, and he was into the attack after 35 minutes of play this afternoon.
Yes, and that's a little longer than it usually takes for him to enter the fray. He quite likes to bowl well while the ball has got shine on it. Doesn't worry him in the least. Here he comes again.
Over the wicket to Ollie Pope. Pope is on the back foot, just turning this one into the leg side. Tenduscarter under the helmet at short leg. Alistair Cook at slip. Porter at backward point. Brown at extra cover. Wesley at mid-off. Bopara at mid-on. Dan Lawrence in there at mid-wicket. Short mid-wicket. Catching as Harmer is in. Pope, oh, that does spin sharply back and hits him on the back leg. He's looking to play him as much as he can off the back foot here, Ollie Pope, but that does spin sharply back and hits the thigh of Ollie Pope.
Yeah, and I'm not sure playing Harmer off the back foot is a great idea. Haven't seen many batsmen thrive under that. Harmer, who at Edgbaston on a distinctly unhelpful pitch bowled 59.5 overs, 15 maidens, 6 for 143. He also took 3 catches, one of which was a caught and bowled and effected a run out. So
wow.
All in all, there was only one dismissal he wasn't directly involved in.
Well, Bopara's now at leg slip after that. Again, sharp turn and bounce for Harmer. And that's why Bopara's gone from his position at mid-on to under the helmet at leg slip. So leg slip, short leg. Harmer's beginning to rip this now.
Yeah.
Mar Verdi will be watching this interestedly from the balcony, I would have thought.
Bopara, very good in that backward short leg position.
Harmer, right arm over the wicket, quicker one again. Oh, and Ollie Pope. Oh, he's dropped it into the turf. It's bounced up. How was that? I think that might have hit the stump.
I think it did.
And the bail's not come off.
Adam Wheater is staring at the stump there, or at the bails.
I think that has trickled back, hit the stump, and the bail's not come off. Big moment there for Ollie Pope.
Well, he's been all at the last deliveries, and I have to say that I don't think his getting right back on his stumps to Harmer is at all a good idea.
Harmer in once more to Pope. Pope's forward this time, pushes away into the offside. And there is no run because the previous delivery pushed it down into the turf. It bounced, spun back, trickled back, couldn't find the ball. Ollie Pope, I think that hit the base of the off stump.
I don't think there's any doubt. It's not the first time this season a ball has struck the stumps and the bails haven't come off.
As Harmer is in. Here he goes, using his feet, Ollie Pope. Oh, what's that hit? Is he gone? Caught at slip? Well, they've all gone up. Cook's come up with the ball. Looking to whip it leg side was Ollie Pope. Cook's claiming the catch. But umpire Gould keeps the hands down in front of him. So Ollie Pope's not going anywhere. Alistair Cook dived to his left. He's having a tough time out there at the moment, Ollie Pope against Harmer. All I can think is that's hit his boot rather than bat. Good reactions from Alistair Cook. There's a big grin on Alistair Cook's face as he chats to umpire Gould. and there doesn't seem to be any great histrionics out there from Essex. I think it probably came off his boot then, but it was a lovely bit of bowling again from Harmon, because Ollie Pope tried to get out the crease to him, and at the moment Harmon is just bowling beautifully. He really is. 58 for 2.
If that doesn't hit his boot, it's a stumping chance, isn't it? Because he'd come out of his ground, and assuming Wheater took the ball cleanly...
well, it went to Cook. So
I know it did, but I'm saying if it doesn't hit his boot, it would have been a stumping chance, as this next ball goes out to extra cover. There's no run. This is Sam Cook bowling from the Hayes close end. 58 for 2 at the start of the 19th over. Jamie Smith now on strike. But at the moment, bearing in mind Pope was actually dropped off an extremely sharp chance, clipped to short mid-wicket Dan Lawrence. He got a hand to the ball, but it didn't stick. Would have been a splendid catch if he'd caught it. But Pope has really struggled against Simon Harmon, as Cook is in and bowls, and the ball played back to the bowler. Smith looked very secure so far. Score is 58 for 2. But I think having gone back on his stumps to 2 balls of that Harmon over and been in big trouble, he did determine to get forward, but that was very nearly his undoing as well. And the ball, just as you say, I think came off the boot and flew to slip, where it was caught by Alistair Cook. And just as well it deflected away from the wicket-keeper, because he would have been well out of his ground. Here is Sam Cook again. Bowls all good delivery. This one moves away from Smith off the pitch. Excellent bowling from Sam Cook, who... I was saying earlier, took 12 for 65 2 matches ago. Couldn't get a wicket at Edgbaston as Warwickshire amassed over 500. But he certainly hasn't got a wicket here today, but he's bowled some very good deliveries that have beaten the bat and just hasn't had the luck. Here comes Cook again. Down to 2 slips and a gully. Bowls to Jamie Smith. Plays this one out of more or less the middle of the bat. It goes down to backward point, and Nick Brown made a 65 up at Edgbaston a few days ago. 58 for 2, 19th over, and well, certainly as we only got underway at 2:15, but the little action we have had has had plenty of incident.
Yes, and I had chickpea curry for lunch as well, which was big news, Mr. Newton.
I had chicken balti.
Even better.
And Sam Cook bowls. Gets very close to the stumps as he bowls, and this ball raps Smith on the pads. It would have gone down leg side, so no point in an appeal. 58 for 2, the men out after a good start by Surrey's openers, Stoneman and Borthwick. 36 on the board by the 7th over, but then Stoneman LBW to Porter for 16. And in Porter's next over, Borthwick caught behind for 20. Wickets at 36 and 37. Then very quickly we had Pope off that very difficult chance to Lawrence at short mid-wicket. Almost caught before he'd scored. Cook bowls, and this one keeps a little low. And Wesley Fields running up from gully. Applause for a good over from Sam Cook, a maiden. 58 for 2 with 8 to Pope, who will be on strike to Harmon again, and 13 to Jamie Smith.
Well, Somerset have extended that lead over Essex now to 11 points, because they've bowled Hampshire all out for 196, which listeners on BBC Radio 5 Live Sports Extra will be fully aware of, because that is the game that BBC Radio 5 Live Sports Extra are with, but it's tea time there. So Somerset, but all I would say is, having been at the Ageas Bowl last week, in what should have been a low-scoring game, but Surrey bowled so poorly in the second innings that it enabled James Vince and Liam Dawson, who's got 100 today, to bat out their skins. And then Surrey rolled over for 151. So 196 might not be a bad score from Hampshire. Here's Harmon. Oh my lord, it's a loopy full toss. That'll take some of the pressure off Ollie Pope. He's tried to hit that as hard as he can. Ollie Pope, he'll just get a single. Tenduscarter's entire life has just flashed in front of him there.
Yes.
At short leg. But Harmon there, loopy full toss. That was the last thing anyone was expecting. Because as I say, he's had it on a piece of string so far. But it does mean that Jamie Smith comes on to strike, as Harmon's into Smith, and Smith forward pushes this one down to backward point, and there's now. And Jamie Smith played Ravi Ashwin quite brilliantly on a turning pitch that started turning on the first half hour at Trent Bridge a few weeks ago. In Surrey's second innings, made 50 odd against Ashwin. Played him really well. Harmon over the wicket to Smith. Smith Goes back to him, waits for it to turn and bounce a touch, and then just pushes it back up the pitch.
Started to come forward, and then quickly changed his mind, went back onto his stumps there. I think Harmon probably saw him edging forward and therefore dropped it in a bit shorter.
Harmon in once more, Smith down the pitch to him. A little flatter this time from Harmon, trying to beat him on the outside, I think. And it hits the outer edge of the bat of Jamie Smith, goes down to Jamie Porter. Lots of the Essex faithful surrounding us at the moment, watching away. There were a few moans and groans come about 1:30, wasn't there? As over the wicket once more is Harmon. That short punch by Smith off the back foot, straight up the ground to Nick Brown. Stood up there at mid-off and there's no run.
We're enjoying one of the better periods of light in inverted commas. Got a bit dull about a quarter of an hour ago. It's improved a bit.
As over the wicket once again is Harmon. Tosses this one up. Oh, and Smith looked to work round that front pad. There was bat in that. And there was Ravi Bopara diving away to his left at leg slip. End of the Harmon over. Just a single off it with the loopy full toss. And at the moment Essex are keeping Surrey stuck exactly where they are at 59 for 2. With Jamie Smith on 13 and Ollie Pope on 9.
Harmon 6 overs, 2 maidens, none for 7. And typically frugal, and certainly has caused a lot of problems. Might have had Pope caught before he'd scored. He must have beaten Pope at least 4 times subsequently, and there, had they been an exact short square leg, then Smith would be on his way back to the pavilion, assuming that short square leg caught what would have been, for someone fielding quite close, a reasonably easy catch, because it didn't go particularly quickly off a mixture, I think, of bat and pad. But there's a forward short leg and a backward short leg, and it bisected the two. Good placement, you might say, from Jamie Smith there. Change in the bowling. Sam Cook out of the attack, 7 overs, none for 21, and here comes Aaron Beard into it. 2 slips, a wide gully. And bowls to Ollie Pope, who leaves the first ball outside off stump. 59 for 2. Aaron Beard has done very well this season. He came in because Sam Cook had a side strain picked up in the match at Headingley in early June, and in his first appearance of the season took 4 wickets in his first 13 deliveries. Now inevitably nobody keeps that sort of strike rate up. He's just tended to spoil much of his good work by bowling a couple of deliveries and over, going down leg side, and therefore has been tending to go at 4 or 5 and over. He comes in here, bowls. That's a straight one. Played to Porter at mid-on. And, to Cook at mid-on, Sam Cook. And score 59 for 2. We're in the 21st over. Surrey winning the toss and choosing to bat, and losing Stoneman LBW Porter 16 at 36 for 1, and Borthwick caught Wheaterbowl Porter 20 at 37 for 2.
Yeah, 17 championship wickets for Beard. This is 7th championship match. Just a bit of pressure on him here in the fact that Surrey is stuck.
And bowls. And the ball is pushed into the offside by Pope, goes to backward point where Nick Brown is fielding, and although the batsman took a couple of paces down the wicket, home might be a single, quickly realised that it was not on and that his partner was in any case not interested. 59 for 2.
Don't want anything to relieve the pressure that's on the batsman at the moment. So Beard here needs to keep it very, very tight.
Comes in again. Bowls, and that ball is smacked, always very well stopped by Nick Brown at backward point, or that would have been 4 runs, yard either side, as the expression goes, and no doubt it would have been a boundary because it sat up and begged. It was too short, and Pope leathered it, but Nick Brown was just in the right place.
Got away with that. As Aaron Beard. BBC Radio 5 Blind Sports Extra have understandably gone back to the Aegeus Bowl now because they're underway again after tea.
No excuse for that, but joking apart, fascinating game down there with Hampshire surprisingly choosing to bat as Beard comes in, bowls, and that's a better delivery, played back to the bowler, 59 for 2. Surprisingly choosing to bat, losing a cascade of wickets early on. It looked to all the world as if they'd be dismissed for under 100, but an ex-Essex player, Liam Dawson, who was on loan here for a brief period 4 or 5 years ago, has come potentially to, if not their rescue, at least their aid, because he's made 196 all out, represented quite a recovery.
Might be a good score, that, actually.
Yep.
If it's anything like last week, 196 might be a good score in that first innings.
Kyle Abbott could take a bit of keeping out for Somerset as Beard's in. Bowles, goodness me, that gets up. And it's well played, actually, by Pope down to the third man boundary. But there hasn't been anything that sort of got up the way that delivery did. More or less off a length, right into the batsman's face. And although it was in the air, he got it away from Nick Brown at backward point and down to the boundary. 63 for 2. And Pope will move along to 13.
All I would say is thank the Lord that wasn't Mornay Morkel delivering that delivery.
Yes.
Because otherwise it's taking the batsman's head off, I think. And there's a little bit of a quizzical look at the pitch there from the two batsmen. I'm pretty sure Mr. Brown and Mr. Cook may have just thought to themselves, oh, that'll be interesting when Mornay comes charging in from the Hayes close end. It's going to be Harmer from the river end. Continuing, coming over the wicket to Jamie Smith, using his feet. Jamie Smith drives nicely up the ground towards Nick Brown, who does the fielding, and there's no run. The sound of a seagull here in Chelmsford. Good crowd in today. Excellent crowd in again today. As Harmer is in, Smith goes back and worked past the left hand of Tendusgarter in there at short leg, and they will pick up a single, and that takes Jamie Smith on to 14, brings Ollie Pope back on strike on 13. They look very similar from a distance, both in short sleeve sweater, both with the little white wrist guard on. As using his feet this time is Pope, tucks it leg side, will get a single. As Lawrence dives away to his left, punches the glove in punches the ground in frustration. Dan Lawrence, now pick up one more.
Fine fieldsman Lawrence, but he wasn't happy with himself there because Pope has struggled against Harmer, and Harmer would have wanted to keep Pope on strike.
He's in once again, Harmer, and forward goes Smith, turns leg side. Tendusgarter picks up.
The light as good as it's been at any point
all right
this afternoon. It's fine at the moment.
Thank you to Surrey Pigeon on Twitter. He's let us know that the clouds have lifted in Clapham. So that's good news. As in over the wicket once again is Harmer. I'm not quite sure for who. Commuters, I would have thought. That's good news for commuters, as that one's turned by Smith into the leg side. Quite a long way from here to Clapham.
It is.
As the crow flies.
The world's busiest junction.
It is indeed. As settling over his bat once again is Jamie Smith. As in over the wicket comes Harmer to him. Forward goes Smith, pushes this one back up the pitch, and there's no run. End of the over, 65 for 2. You saying that, of course. I always say this when I come to Chelmsford. Drive past my favourite sign. Welcome to Chelmsford, home of the radio.
Indeed.
Yes. I always feel
Marconi.
I always feel I'm going to where I need to be with the sign saying home of the radio.
Yes, Marconi is fabled for. Perhaps fabled is the wrong word to use, but renowned for.
Renowned is probably a better
having
word.
started the whole thing off in this very city, as we can now call it.
Little did he know then.
Yeah.
There'd be
ball
by ball commentary on his home county team.
Be good to have him along, actually, as a sort of lunchtime guest, wouldn't it?
With the work miracle, we might be on the news if that happened.
Beard is in to bowl initially to Pope. Lead outside off stump. So far Beard has done well to keep that ball either on the stumps or outside off stump. And I was saying earlier that he has tended at times to be a little bit prone to bowling the ball down leg side. However, in a match at Trent Bridge, Notts were coasting along, seemingly belying their complete lack of form. They were 114, something like that, for 2. And Beard comes into the attack and gets 2 wickets in consecutive overs to strangles down the leg side. And he got another one in the second innings. Here he is, and bowls to Pope, and that turns Pope round and comes up a leading edge, albeit along the ground, to backward point, who is Nick Brown. And the score remaining at 65 for 2. A score draw on the board between these two batsmen, Jamie Smith and Ollie Pope.
Yeah, straightened a bit, that one. Just thickish outside edge, really, from Ollie Pope. Ravi Papara is off the field of play at the moment. The only reason I know that is I can see him standing on the balcony watching.
Yes. He does tend to take his comfort breaks as Beard is in. Slingy action. Bowl edged. and dropped short of Harmer there. He took it cleanly. He's brilliant in the slip, Simon Harmer. He caught the most astonishing catch at Edgbaston last week in a very similar situation where he had to dive forward, but this one looked as if it would carry, but suddenly dropped to ground. 65 for 2.
Cracking delivery. Again, just got a bit bigger on Ollie Pope than he was expecting, and didn't carry, which is interesting to Simon Harmer. Dived forward but took it on the half volley.
Yeah, might be an idea to take a step forward for the wicketkeeper and slips as Beard bowls. This ball is defended into the offside. He's begun very well, I must say here, Beard. And score remaining at 65 for 2. Of course, most of those wickets you were saying he got this season have come when he's been bowling from the Hayes close end, which is an end that favours the bowlers, not for any very obvious reason, but there's a slight downslope. And Jamie Porter, I don't think I've ever seen Jamie Porter bowl really well from the river end, but from the Hayes close end I've hardly ever seen him not bowl really well.
It's a good job Harmer's good at bowling from the river end.
Yes, isn't it just, as Beard is in and bowls, and that's a leave outside off stump. But very good over so far, because Beard is bowling to one of the best young batsmen in the country, without a doubt. Ollie Pope will be looking to give the selectors a nudge with the very busy programme of test matches coming up in the winter. 2 in New Zealand, 4 in South Africa, another couple in Sri Lanka.
There's a lot of test cricket coming up for England. Interesting to see who they take to New Zealand.
Yeah, very much so. Here he comes again, Aaron Beard, and bowls to Pope. Again, it's a leave, but it's not a leave in the sense of bad bowling. It's just on that nagging line, just outside off stump. Good judgment from Pope. Deserved applause for an excellent maiden over there from Beard, and he will just feel, why couldn't that have carried to second slip, because the ball is relatively new, and Simon Harmer would certainly have caught it. He's got coal scuttle hands, but 65 for 2, 22 overs gone.
Yeah, and good from Beard, because he's come on at that time, as I was saying, that there was a bit of pressure building. They tied down one end, and other than the uppercut boundary from Ollie Pope, he's been very, very tight.
Yes, and that was actually a devilish ball.
Here's Harmer then from the river end into Jamie Smith. Smith and Pope doing a good job here though for Surrey, and this one's a couple of runs for Jamie Smith as he just jumps back into the crease, punches into the vacant cover region, picks up a couple more. Bapara's back out there now. 2 more to Jamie Smith. He moves on to 16, 67 for 2. Surrey. Stoneman gone for 16, Borthwick for 21. Both off Porter. Harmer is in and Smith forward. Dead back to this one. Straight back up the pitch. And there is no run. So they're getting through this at the moment, Messrs Smith and Pope.
Well, I can't believe how quickly time goes when you're enjoying yourself, because at the end of this over I will make way for Nick Gledhill. Can't believe half an hour's gone. I've only just sat down.
It's fascinating stuff. As over the wicket again comes Harmer, and that one's turned away by Smith off his hip, and he won't get a run as that goes down to Beard.
Essex will just be frustrated that Harmer has only had a couple of deliveries to Pope in the last 3 overs since he bowled an over which really had him in difficulties.
Harmer's in once more. Down the pitch goes Jamie Smith. Just for a second, I think he was thinking of going over the top, but adjusted. Nicely played by Jamie Smith. Just a roll of the wrist. And as I say, he, of all the Surrey batsmen, played Ravi Ashwin the best up at Trent Bridge. Tremendous innings in that second innings. On a pitch that was turning against Ravi Ashwin. Played beautifully, Jamie Smith. Waits again does Ollie Pope. Harmer's into him and Pope is covering up. Again, playing it off the back foot down into the leg side. Rolls in there to Dan Lawrence. And there is no run. 68 for 2. Surrey. Another half an hour until tea, because he will be at 4:15 today. As Pope uses the feet, works this one nicely through the leg side. That's a lovely shot. He'll get a couple of runs off Simon Harmer. Ollie Pope picks up 2. And that will move Ollie Pope on to 16. And move Surrey on to 70 for 2. Paul Newton is vacating. Nick Gledhill is coming in to pick up commentary, and then I'll vacate for Johnny Barron once Mr Gledhill's safely ensconced with his headphones on. And now worth 43.
Talking of partnerships, it's funny, when you get this stage of a season, you get a major story elsewhere, it can actually be hidden because it's not one of the games that's affecting promotion and relegation, but just have to talk about what's going on at Headingley because it's absolutely astonishing. Kent against Yorkshire. So Kent in this game, they won the toss and chose to bat, and they were 39 for 5 in this game. They're now 316 for 5. The Billing Stevens 77, and Darren Stevens, who is, I say, being pensioned off effectively, is 191 not out from 188 balls with 7 sixes and 24 fours. Billings has got 87. That's a 6-wicket record for Kent against Yorkshire and close to their all-comers 6-wicket record. That's a nice delivery first up from Beard, who's bowling pretty well here, and a little tentative push at that from Smith, who's been impressive, but that just snuck past the shoulder of the bat, and it was a nice line and just a little bit of bounce. But it's a terrific contest, this, Johnny, because I've been impressed by Smith, not seen him before. Pope and over, but Essex have bowled well, and it's been a fascinating session.
It has. Really nice balance between bat and ball. No question about that.
As it's 70 for 2 here. Oh, this is almost edging it through well here, Beard. He pitched that around about off stump, and it's left the right-hander, and he's lent at it. He's tried to stroke that through the covers, and he's very nearly edged it through to Wheater. It's been one of those sessions where we've had lovely strokes, we've had a lot of near things actually, potential catches, heels that Harmon against Pope when he thought he had him, the potential catch that was to short mid-wicket, very, very, very tough one to Lawrence before Pope had scored. It's all been happening, hasn't it? It's been busy. It's been a session that's made up for the loss of the previous session. 3 slips and a gully, and 4 saving 1, and Beard bowls another good delivery, and playing a miss from Smith as it goes by outside the off stump. And to be honest, this sort of cricket, where it's all happening, in contrast to what we were seeing at Edgbaston over 4 days, this is incident packed.
Yeah, I mean, it's 70 for 2, but on the basis of what we've seen, you could easily see 3, 4, 5 wickets go down in an eye, because these conditions are not straightforward.
No, they're not. Right, early news on Somerset, and pleased to say from an Essex point of view, but the man who Essex, I think it was the end of last season for a few games and did rather well, is not doing quite so well for Somerset, as here's Beard bowling. That's another but good bouncing delivery. It goes by outside the off stump. It signals a no ball. The sort of the umpire just withdrew his hand a little bit earlier than I was expecting, but I think that was a no ball signal. He certainly had his arm outstretched.
Yeah, was he indicating
maybe that
something
was just
cool?
Yes, maybe he was just indicating something, but it was a bit too close to being a signal for my liking, to make it easy to understand.
That
Smith
bounced,
17
though,
and Pope 16, lovely
that
bounce
really
there.
Bounced.
Yeah, Murali Vijay not doing so well for Somerset. He's gone for naught. LBW to Kyle Abbott. It's 12 for 1 Somerset in reply to Hampshire's 196 at the Aegeus Bowl. 70 for 2 here, and just going across his crease. That's played defensively back down the pitch by Smith, and there is no run. So Smith 17, Pope 16, and the two openers stroking the ball around the place, looking very good indeed. And as soon as we turned up on air, they both promptly got out in quick succession, with Stoneman going for consecutive Jamie Porter overs. Porter 2 for 31 in 7 overs.
Well, between us, we took 2 wickets, didn't we, in the previous half an hour that we were on air together? I wonder.
Yeah, well, it's intriguing cricket, it really is. As this is a delivery which is outside the off stump, and here Smith actually is able to leave that alone because he just played it on line, left it alone. Lovely over by, and yeah, that's a third. A lot of overs potentially in the absence of an overseas quick, and Beard has done well there, and the signs are good. But they could do with another wicket in this half hour before tea, Essex. 70 for 2, Pope 16 and Smith 17.
Yeah, fascinatingly poised, because there's a chance here with these two on 17 and 16 respectively, as you pointed out, to try and build a position here for Surrey. But equally, Essex, well, it hasn't been a straightforward time for the young man, it's safe to say. Here is Simon Harmer again, who's into Ollie Pope, who just dribbles out on the onside.
In the battle of future England number 4s, Clark was being sort of talked of in the same breath as Pope a lot. I think Pope has moved, even in with injury for most of this season, has rather moved ahead of Clark at the moment.
Yes, indeed. Here is Simon Harmer again, playing off the back foot. Dangerous policy, that. Playing it from the crease, really. Ollie Pope, and Harmer knows he might have almost snuck that one through. Yeah, Ollie Pope, I think, is the standout candidate. weight of runs, value
Yes.
of runs. But that'll dribble up to Mr.
He could be moved again to number 3 if they wanted to bring in a Corley or
Here is
Sibley.
Harmon. Tossed up and driven nicely through the offside. That's likely to be 4 for Ollie Pope. Brown will give chase in that far corner down by the scoreboard. Does well. Hauls it in front of the ropes. They get through for 3. Nice placement there from Pope.
Well, it's been great to see Ollie Pope finding his best form on his return from injury. It must have been a very frustrating period for him. And as I say, Johnny, I think Surrey's season, there have been other reasons, but had Pope been available throughout, I do have a feeling Surrey be a lot closer to the business end of the table than they are at the moment.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, there's a number of things that haven't quite gone to plan. It's safe to say. One of the most scathing interviews I think you'll ever wish to see last week, given by the coach. What I want to do is try and finish on some kind of high.
Well, I've got a feeling there's a determined approach about Surrey here.
At 5 times in the last couple of overs or so.
Yeah, I've given Smith the credit for the last ball of the previous over, which I think he managed to leave alone, but there have been a lot, haven't there? 3 slips waiting and 5 saving 1, and here's a drive to mid-on. Crouching shot up towards mid-on, up to Porter, no run. And, so it's great that all the games at the moment, I think, are in play, and weather set fair for the next few days. A good forecast, certainly, for the rest of this round of games. A few question marks about next week, but one hopes, of course, that any weather around isn't going to be too significant.
It was a long old season, because I think the first class season began in, almost the middle of April.
I think there were 19 and Smith has 17. So some fairly even contributions from Surrey so far, if you consider those 2 scores and the fact that Stoner made 16 and Borthwick 21. It's a question of can either of these 2 go on to get the big score. If Surrey can make a meaningful score here, and by Chelmsford standards, if you can get 300 in the first innings, that's going to put Essex under pressure. It's a long way off, but 73 for 2 is a platform. Here is Beard, up to the wicket, bowls, well pitched up, driven away just wide of mid-on, and Porter moves across and fields in his follow through, and there's 1 for total, which goes to 74 for 2.
Yeah, I mean, rolling the clock back, last year, I remember quite similar conditions actually in the reverse, in the same fixture last year. Surrey got a decent score in that first innings, having, I think Essex dropped an absolute hatful of chances in the build-up to that, and then, of course, they bossed the game from that point onwards.
So, no play before 2:15 here. We had 2 wickets in 2 overs, Porter accounting for the openers. And since then, another good partnership starting to build here between the 2 young players, Smith and Pope. 74 for 2 as Beard bowls, and that's well pitched up and driven away back down the pitch to the bowler, and there's no run. Essex had a bit of an off-season last year, but never really got going, Johnny, and it might be from Surrey's point of view that they can make a strong start last year, having got the experience of trying to defend the title, which is not that easy these days. Not many teams manage to do it, and it might be that if they can get a good start and get used to winning again in the Championship, and that might be the key to greater success next year. Essex, I say, had a bit of an off year, to be honest, last year, but have obviously done much better this year. As, again, just riding the bounce. It's played nicely by Smith up into the offside. The end of Beard's over. 20 to Pope and 17 to Smith. 74 for 2 is the score here for Surrey. We're expecting tea to be at 4:15, but it wouldn't surprise me if they went off before then, because it feels like it should be tea time, but it's not quite yet.
Yeah, I think as far as Surrey are concerned, that I think they've got the resources, no question about that, and the playing resources. It's just a question of them pulling together as a side and putting the kind of unforced errors and taking the game by the scruff of the neck, which they were brilliant at doing last year, because Surrey didn't have it their own way. Certainly on a number of occasions they were behind the 8 ball, but
Yes,
somebody would stand up, absolutely, and at Scarborough, but there's somebody who often would just put their hand above the pulpit. They haven't done this year. Here is Harmon, and it's played nicely off the back foot by Ollie Pope. Dribbles out on the onside. But yeah, this year, on all those crunch occasions, Surrey have lost a lot of them, really. And that has been the reason why they're languishing in the table rather than heading it. Simon Harmer again is into Pope, who's looking to work away on the onside, and it dribbles back to Harmer.
The big head-to-head in Division 2 among the promotion contenders is Northants Durham. It's definitely Durham's day. At Wantage Road, Northants 152 for 8. 4 wickets for Rushworth there.
Again, here is Harmer, and Pope just pushes forward. A flatter delivery from Harmer, back to the bowler.
If Northants win that, they are either promoted or all but promoted, and Durham therefore need to try and win it. They're starting 14 points behind. They've had a very good day so far.
Yeah, they've had a good run of it as well.
They have. It's been a terrific second half of the season for Durham.
Yeah, unbeaten in 8 fixtures now.
Even staged a quarter-final of the T20.
Less said about that, the better. Simon Harmer just had delivery pushed back to him by Ollie Pope. Yes, unfortunately the scheduling came home to roost, because to give away a home quarter-final, at Old Trafford, that's a sort of £500,000 decision, really. Harmer is in again to Pope, who's squeezing out to Tender Scarter at short leg, and there's no run. But it's been one of those seasons, hasn't it? A World Cup, Ashes campaign. We have the ODI series against Pakistan, all the warm-ups. How do you fit it all in? And in the end, that was always a potential Achilles heel. Here is Harmer again, into Pope, who's working off the back foot. Ball that turns, plays it off his hip nicely to backward square, and there's no run. End of the over, 74 for 2.
Yes, Sky have enjoyed putting their T20 games on in the evening after test matches, but it's a case of don't try and push your luck, and putting the quarter-finals alongside a test match, there's always the problem that there's nowhere to go if your host side, in Lancashire's case, is the team that's actually hosting the test match at the time. So that was very unsatisfactory. Lancashire might even have been better off just reversing venues and saying, we'll come down to Chelmsford and see what we can do. But it just occurred to me that they could even have, I know it always ends up with Edgbaston, but somewhere in the Midlands, given I think that Lancashire were playing at Derby in the last round and Essex were playing at Edgbaston, wouldn't that have been something on the Monday evening before the game started? Wouldn't that have been maybe a possible? But it might just have taken a bit of working out, but might have been a better idea. Here comes Beard up to the wicket. Ball that's out in the air, going to be up towards mid-off and through. Goodness me, that's a real lucky break for Smith. He's got a single. He was trying to work it away into the onside. It's come off the leading edge and it's flown through straight mid-off. Tender Scarter was too wide to have a chance of catching that. That is a real let-off. Lovely piece of bowling again from Beard, who's bowling a wonderful spell here pre-tee. And Smith goes to 18. Pope is 20 at 75 for 2.
Could have gone anywhere. Could have gone absolutely anywhere. He's been very impressive since he's been introduced into this attack.
Well, this really is a very good spell indeed from someone who tends to get wickets in a flurry. Aaron Beard. I'll have a look at his stats, which are pretty impressive. In sort of someone who will come in and has got a very high strike rate. Sometimes just goes around the park a little bit, but has a very high strike rate in terms of wickets this season per balls bowled, and that's driven away along the ground on the bounce anyway, up towards mid-wicket, and rolls up to Bopar. It was a firmly struck stroke that from Pope. Yard either side. It was 4 all day, but it went on the bounce to Bopar, and there was no run.
I mean, the other thing that Lancashire had available to them was, of course, plenty of outground options. The problem there then was floodlights.
Yeah, and annoyingly for me, I was staying in the same city as one of their options, which was Lancashire. Which was at Liverpool, yeah.
Eggbreath.
But they didn't play there.
Yeah.
It wasn't available apparently. So that was disappointing. But anyway, I'll be doing an update in a moment into the 4 o'clock news on BBC Essex. We're also on BBC Radio London. Nick Leadhill and Johnny Barron with Mark Church and Paul Newton. Our scorer David Chapman's here as well, as that's played defensively. Head over the ball by Pope up into the offside. Runs out to Lawrence, and there is no run. Well, it's been, as I say, one of those sessions where as much has happened in the last 2 hours as you feel happened over a day at Edgbaston, where it's a very much different pace to the game. It's been a tremendous watch, and it's turned out so far to be a fairly even session. Essex will feel that they might have had Surrey 4 down by now. But it's only 2 as Beard comes in to bowl, and that's played nicely just off the back foot. A little push shot from Pope away for a single out towards deep mid-wicket. He'll just take the one and roll himself along to 21. As I say, we've got 4 pretty identical scores from the 4 contributors so far for Surrey, the 2 openers who've now gone, and the 2 incumbents, the young youngsters who are looking to, well, certainly Pope, of course, is rather more advanced in his career than Smith, but I have to say Smith is showing some of the credentials of Pope in the way that he plays. And 76 for 2. Here is Beard again, up to the wicket and bowls. What's going down the leg side? Rare loose delivery from Aaron Beard and Miss. Very good partnership. So it'd be like to just draw a line under that one because it wasn't really his best ball.
Yeah, rare one. Slip down the leg side.
Been very active. Got some, and he's got the batsman to play and miss. Could easily have got a wicket, if not 2. But so far hasn't quite managed to fall into place for him. Not that he hasn't deserved a success. Here is Beard again, going up to the wicket and bowls, and just played down into the crease. It rolls into a slip cordon along the ground, and that's the end of a pretty good over again. Maybe not quite as threatening as the previous over from him. But just to tell you that Sports Extra have rejoined us, so nice to have you back with us. We're seeing a really interesting period of play here because we didn't start till 2:15, but it's all been happening, to be honest, since then. We've seen some fine strokes from the Surrey batsmen. We've seen 2 wickets in 2 overs from Jamie Porter. And all told, Johnny Barron, who's with me, Nick Lethill here, it's been thoroughly entertaining.
It has. In front of a very, very good crowd again at Chelmsford. They've been good all the way through the season.
I may need to interrupt you during the course of this over, or maybe I'll just do the first couple of deliveries as Harmon bowls, and that's just played from the crease, just down on the bounce to short leg, and there is no run. So 2:15 start after that bad light. The light's still a threat, and I suspect we won't actually go right through to the close here because the cloud cover hasn't really lifted, as that's just played defensively by Pope, stretching forward and playing it on the bounce to short leg. In fact, to say the reason that Sports Extra have joined us because that light has deteriorated at Southampton, so they've now got the same sort of problems that we were having earlier on in the day. 76 for 2, Harmer from the River End bowls, and that's driven a bit more firmly, but again on the bounce out to short leg, and there's no run. Not much to choose between Pope and Smith in the style of their play and the panache of their play so far, which is all really to the credit of Smith. 17 for 1, by the way, was that Somerset score. Anyone just joining us when the bad light arrived in reply to Hampshire's 196. That's played defensively back down the pitch to Harmer, and there is no run. So still cloudy, the floodlight's still on. It's been an intriguing couple of hours after a 2:15 start after all the bad light, and an even contest so far. Surrey, who won the toss and chose to bat, have got along to 77 for 2. The openers raced to 36 in 8 overs, and then both are out in consecutive overs from Jamie Porter, Stoneman for 16 and Borthwick for 21. But since then, not without the odd alarm, 2 youngsters, Ollie Pope and Jamie Smith, have combined very well to double the score. Pope, of course, who's very much seen as a future England player. He's had a brief England career so far. He's on 22 and Smith on 18. And as we approach tea on this opening day, Surrey are 77 for 2 after 30 overs. Not too much happened off the last couple of deliveries there. Just the push again towards short leg, which was a common theme of the over. And Smith and Pope have done pretty well here just to steady things down, Johnny, after those 2 wickets went down.
Yeah, they have indeed. And no, they've done a pretty good job, actually, haven't they? But there's been quite a bit of jeopardy, hasn't there? Because a ball has gone past the outside edge on a fairly regular basis. It looks like Jamie Porter is being reintroduced up at the Hayes close end.
We're keeping a close eye on Headingley because of this remarkable situation with that partnership between Billings and Stevens. Will Stevens, his top score is 208, so he's 15 short of that. I think that is only double 100, 193 not out. Kent 327 for 5 against Yorkshire, and that pair have put on 288, Billings and Stevens, after they were 39 for 5. Extraordinary story, that. For a man, of course, who are currently not expected to be with Kent next season.
I think there's been a bit of a reverse ferret on that, hasn't there?
Yes, I think
judging by the noises coming out of Kent.
Yes, we said at the end of the season we just met the 2020 season, or maybe 2021.
Here is Jamie Porter, who's in, right arm over from the Hayes close end and pushing forward. Here's Ollie Pope, ball of full length, and there's no run as that dribbles out into the covers. Yeah, I think it's safe to say that Darren Stevens, well, he could, to be honest, if he keeps fit and keeps turning in performances, he could, I mean, he's at 43 currently, at least get another year on his contract. If I were him, I'd be pushing for a couple. Cheeky 2-year extension.
Joe Clark finishing the season as strongly as he started it. It's the bit in the middle, I guess, that's been the problem for him. 105 not out, and not to 309 for 4 against Warwickshire.
Here is Porter again, right arm over, who's into Pope. He gets a full toss, which he leathers through the offside through extra cover, but it doesn't get past extra cover. And that's a terrific bit of work by Tendescato. I think he's down, actually. Struggling a little bit down there. But,
yes, awkward bounce.
Yes, get a single anyway.
Ooh, it looks like it's the left knee. It's from here it's causing them a problem.
Yeah, he's still down. And Jamie Porter and the umpires are now starting to take an interest in proceedings. I think the physio will be on the field to play as well.
Tom Wesley the closest to him at the moment. Jamie Porter coming over. He's still on the ground. Looks like it's the left knee at first thought here. Might have landed awkwardly.
Yeah, never nice, those scenarios. Well, but I tell you one thing, the weather's picked up, hasn't it? I think the light has picked up and the temperature certainly picked up.
The sun is making its second appearance of the day. It's been very apologetic in terms of coming out today.
Yeah, it's good to see it because we haven't seen anything like this through the course of the morning so far, and large swathes of the afternoon.
Physio out there with Tendescato at the moment. A couple of the promotion battles in Division 2. We've got some close-up innings, and it's the contenders for promotion who are doing the better. So Derbyshire 138 all out, and that's good for Sussex, who are really coming up on the rails in that particular match, which is at Derby. And 4 wickets for someone who's had a very good season, David Visa. A couple for Rhys Topley and a couple for Chris Jordan. And we don't know whether Jofra Archer wanted to play or turned up and said, select me or whatever. But of course, he's so enthusiastic, it wouldn't have surprised anybody.
He needs a breather.
Yes, that's what they'll be telling him.
Absolutely.
Certainly the ECB will.
Well, indeed.
But,
because
you wouldn't put it past him. You really wouldn't.
Yeah, Jofra Archer, his workload in the test matches that he has played has been enormous. I need to wrap him in cotton wool for a bit. Jamie Porter up from the Hayes close end again. Right arm over. Is in to Jamie Smith, who leaves alone. Ball at the back of the length outside the off stump.
And Gloucestershire, who lost last time out, had a pretty good day at New Road. Worcestershire 221 all out. So Gloucestershire looking to really finish the season strongly after that defeat. And of course the quarter-final defeat would have hurt them in the Vitality Blast, but they've bowled Worcestershire out for 221, of which we've seen 72 for Ricky Vessels.
Porter again and goes past the outside edge of Jamie Smith. He's just pushing forward.
4 wickets for Higgins and 3 for Payne, so the Gloucestershire seamers doing pretty well there. So all told, Gloucestershire and Sussex will be pretty pleased with their day's work so far. Really tight promotion battle. I think the one thing we can really say is if Northants do beat Durham, they're either promoted or very, very close to it.
Jamie Porter, right arm over, is in to Smith. He's punching off the back foot through extra cover out to Tendescato. He'll get through for a comfortable single as Tendescato moves around to his left-hand side. Score goes up to 79 for 2. Jamie Porter with the 2 wickets to fall so far. 2 for 33 for him.
Sam Billings has got his 100 in that match at Headingley, so being slightly outshone by his partner, but he's got his 100, and Darren Stevens is 3 away from his double.
Extraordinary.
It is an extraordinary game, that 39 for 5 at one point.
Unbelievable comeback. Jamie Porter to Pope, who's pushing forward. No run.
And yes, not a huge amount running on that game. In fact, I suppose the only really thing is the battle for third, which Hampshire also involved in, and it'd be nice for whichever of those 3 counties do finally manage to nail down that third spot. So 79 for 2. We've got about maybe 1 more over, maybe 2 before tea. And it's going to be Simon Harmer to bowl. Essex will be a little bit disappointed with their return of just 2 wickets. Surrey, I think, will feel that the decision to bat first looks reasonable. They obviously don't want Harmer bowling last.
Yeah.
And so far at 79 for 2, they'll be relatively satisfied. 3 men round the bat as here's first delivery from Harmon, which is played by Smith from the crease up to short mid-wicket, and there's no run.
Yeah, I think when you win the toss and elect to bat this stage of the season, you can expect some collateral damage early on. At least you don't have to bat last.
As Harmer bowls, floats that one up, and it's driven away nicely, wide of mid-off. I think that's going to go for 4. It's being chased back by Nick Brown. He won't get there. It hits the boundary rope now. Lovely shot. Very impressed by Smith. I mean, there was a bit of Pope about him. There's no question. You can see the influence. It's the same quality of strokes, and it will be a terrific end to the season, actually, for Surrey, if Smith can really make a big impact in these last couple of games.
Yeah, an impressive player. No question about that. Highly thought of.
Both batsmen have 23. That was a lovely drive, and he just comes forward and plays defensively up into the offside, and there is no run. So Harmer still looking for his first breakthrough. Surrey trying to deny Essex a clean sweep at home, 7 out of 7. No one's done that. Somerset did draw one of their home games, at least one of their home games earlier in the season, so they're not in contention for that. This is played off the back foot and steered out towards backward point, and there is no one. Just had to reach for that. Maybe it's a hint of turn there. And approaching tee, a delayed tee at 4:15 on this opening day at Chelmsford. 83 for 2, as this is just played again from the crease. Nice looking stroke away through mid-wicket. Out for a single. There's Aaron Beard to complete the fielding. And these two just rotating the strike nicely, with Smith going just ahead of Pope to 24 and bringing Ollie Pope onto strike. He has a leg slip and a short leg, a short mid-wicket. He plays defensively up into the offside with head right over the ball. And we might just get one more over. I'll make it 4:14. It was one of those touch and go situations. Tee scheduled for 4:15. Just having a look at how many overs we might have left in the day. Just 23. I'm still curious. Why is tea so late? We've only got 23 overs left after this, but well, at least maybe the idea was get as many overs out of the way before the light closes in again, Johnny.
Yep.
So that's worked all right.
That's the rationale, and well, hustled in the outfield, Essex, to get this, well, an additional over into the piece, which is good stuff from them. 2 slips, a gully, Jamie Porter up at the Hayes Close end. Man on strike is Jamie Smith. Here is Porter, who's into Smith, who's pushing forward out to extra cover, and there's no run.
So pretty even session, and maybe Essex will be a little bit disappointed, but it has been an even session. They'd have been hoping for a bit better than that, but
yeah,
all credit to Surrey.
Yeah, 2 wickets in the space of 1 run, wasn't it? 36 for 1, 37 for 2. At that stage, they'd have been thinking a couple more would be handy. These two have done really well in testing conditions. Jamie Porter again. Right arm over. Is into Smith, who again is pushing forward. And dribbles out to Nick Brown out there at backward point, and there's no run.
300 partnership at Headingley, and Stevens 1 away from the double 100.
Well, that will help when he wanders in.
Yes.
When he wanders into his assessment chat at the end of the season. Yeah, I think he'll
particularly if Kent ended up third, which would be astonishing.
Yep.
Anyone suggested that at the start of the season, you must be joking. The report would have been
slow start, no question about that. Here is Jamie Porter, who's in to Smith, squeezed out to Papara at mid-wicket.
But they've had something about them all season. Obviously, they did get bowled out for 40. They've had a couple of low scores, actually. A lot less than 60 against Somerset, but between that, they've had some very good performances, some big totals, and of course, they haven't had Joe Denley for most of the time, so they've done very well in those circumstances. Other injury problems as well, but some of the younger bowlers have come through. And I say, if they can beat Yorkshire, they're still in contention there for potentially finishing up there in 3rd place, which would be tremendous.
Here is Porter again, who's into Smith, who again is pushing forward. And Wesley, extra cover, will do the fielding. Whistling towards the tea break here. And Chelmsford, 84 for 2. 32 overs gone so far.
And so, sorry, we're pretty pleased to get in 2 down. These two looking good at the crease, and obviously Pope is such an important wicket. And Essex came close to dismissing him early on a couple of times, once before he had scored, but nothing has quite stuck or been upheld.
Porter Right arm over is into Smith, who goes past the outside edge. Good delivery. Very good delivery, and that has been, well, a kind of delivery we've seen a lot through the afternoon. The ball has been the outside edge of that kind of length on a regular basis.
Stevens 200 came up off 202 balls with 7 sixes and 24 fours. He hasn't hit a four for a while, that means. Billings is 102 and the pair put on 301 so far, closing in on the all-time Kent 6th wicket record, which is only about 14 runs away.
Another slip added. Wesley in a third slip. Here is Porter. Right arm over, who's into Smith, who's driving nicely, and that ricochets off an outstretched paw, but that runs away towards the Hayes close end. Through mid-off, nice way to finish the session. 4 runs to Smith. And Surrey will end the session on 84 for 2 after 33 overs.
Yes, and I think we can say an even session, but of the two sides, albeit with it being an even session, Essex will be perhaps a bit disappointed that they've only taken 2 wickets, even though Surrey wanted to. But some lovely strokes from the Surrey batsmen during the course of the session. It's certainly been entertaining for the crowd, and so it's a good.
Surrey winning the toss and batting 88 for 2 at the break.
Yes, and bowled really well. And I thought Pope and Smith battled brilliantly to put on 51. Harmer, lovely spell of bowling. Beard, terrific.
Didn't he
spell.
bowl well?
Very unlucky not to take a wicket. Porter's got 2 for 37. But yeah, actually, you know, I know what you mean. Both sides would have been happy with that, but Essex may have thought to themselves as they went in for tea, oh, that could have been much better. That could have been 4 or 5 down. But I think you have to give credit to the way these 2 young gentlemen batted after tea. Welcome to listeners as well on BBC Radio 5 Live Sports Extra, back with us after tea.
Very nice to have you all with us, and we're just saying that very good batting between Pope and Smith. There was a wonderful spell from Aaron Beard, potentially the weak link of the Essex attack, but I thought he bowled absolutely superbly.
Well, Simon Cook from the River End. First ball to Ollie Pope after tea's got him. LBW, would you believe it? And exactly what we were just talking about. They battled brilliantly through till tea. Essex would have thought, oh, we could have had Surrey 4 or 5 down. First ball after tea, Ollie Pope, LBW. And the wicket picked up by Cook. They'll be so glad to see the back of Ollie Pope, will Essex. Gone for 23, and Surrey find themselves 88 for 3.
Yeah, he just missed it, really. I don't think the ball did all that much. If anything, I think it just came in a fraction from outside off stump, and he missed it. And for me, the only possible consideration for Gunnar Gould, the umpire in question, would be height, but I'm not saying for a moment I thought it was going over the top. I think it would have hit fairly high up on the stumps. Pope obviously didn't look elated with the decision, but no batsman ever does. But I don't think it's one of those where he'd have all that much to grumble about. And Sam Cook, having had a game of games, the match of his life down at Canterbury at the end of August, where he got 5 for 42 and 7 for 23. How Essex won that game was entirely down to him, because they trailed by 112 in a low-scoring game, bowled Kent out for 40 and won by 3 wickets. He then went to Edgbaston, Sam Cook, didn't have any luck at all, couldn't get a wicket in Warwick's massive 500-plus score, and must have been thinking the same thing was happening here, because he did pass the bat a good few times in the session before tea. Nothing took the edge, but here he's got a wicket with the first ball after tea, and that's a good breakthrough. And I was saying, just as he was going to bowl that ball, Aaron Beard up at Edgbaston bowled a little loosely, went for 5 and over, and he came out today back at his favourite Hayes Close End, which he shares that favour with Jamie Porter. Both of them love bowling from there, and I thought he bowled an absolutely superb spell. Surrey, as you say, did very well to survive it, but he went past the outside edge 2 or 3 times and over.
So Ben Folkes, the captain, is out there, and a wicket with the first ball after tea for Cook. Good stuff. Essex have a bonus point.
Yeah,
it's worth remembering, everybody. A good point. Exactly, it is a good point for Essex, isn't it, Mr.
It is.
And they all count at this stage of the season, as Cook is over the wicket to Ben Folkes. First ball for Folkes, covering up is Ben Folkes, and pushes this one up towards mid-on, and then no run.
Everyone at Essex delighted to see the tremendous progress made by Ben Folkes, who of course started his career here, but there was no way he was going to get the gloves at the time he left for Surrey, because James Foster, one of the best wicket keepers has ever been, was in possession at the time. But he really has come on. Hasn't just scored the runs this season that he was getting almost every time he went to the crease last.
No, he's had a difficult season, really. As in over the wicket comes Cook. And he lets this one go that nips back at him, Ben Folkes. He's been brilliant behind the stumps again.
Yes, absolutely.
Up and down the order a bit this season.
Yeah, I mean, I was hearing them on TMS during this last Test match, talking about the teams for the winter abroad, and people were saying, you know, that in their opinion, almost no one disagreed that Folkes is the best of England's 3 potential wicket keepers, Bairstow and Butler. Folkes.
He is the best. As in over the wicket comes Cook, and this one's left alone outside the off stump. I'll argue with anybody on keeping with Ben Folkes.
Yeah.
And actually the other thing is, when he's played for England, he scored runs as well. So he'll go to New Zealand, there's no doubt whatsoever about that.
And incidentally, Ben Folkes' mother is still very much a key figure behind the scenes here at Essex, you know, in counselling the academy players.
Cook runs away from us with his bright orange boots, and this one's left alone. Again, just coming back a bit. Ben Folks, I for one am very much looking forward to a trip to Canterbury next year to buff up and bow in front of the 100-foot gold statue there will be of Darren Stevens, erected in his honour at the St Lawrence ground. What an innings that is. So he takes a 10 for last week, he's got double 100 this week. I'd like to be in those contract meetings now, as in over the wicket once again comes Cook, and this is checked down the ground towards mid-off by Ben Folks. End of the over, and a very good one first up from Cook after tea here on BBC Essex, BBC Radio London and BBC Radio 5 Live Sports Extra. Huge game for Essex against the current champions, we can still say that of course, Surrey. And Surrey are 88 for 3. Ben Folks yet to get off the mark, and Jamie Smith has 28.
Indeed, this is a match-up between the 2017 champions and the 2018 champions. And it's always possible, even though Somerset are currently in the box seat, that Essex could also be the 2019 champions. They begin this game 8 points behind Somerset. And of course, the final game of the season is down at Taunton next week between Somerset and Essex. Just a bit of detail while we're talking of one of my all-time favourite county cricketers, Darren Stevens of Kent. Now, it was said that he was leaving at the end of the season. Kent were going to let him go. Apparently, they've seen the error of their ways and will now keep him. Here's Aaron Beard into the attack from the Hayes close end, where he bowled so well before tea, and this ball is played a few yards into the onside. And there is no run by Jamie Smith, who's on 28. Folks yet to get off the mark. Wicket to the first ball after tea. Sam Cook trapping Pope LBW for 23. It's 88 for 3.
Steve Stevens has just gone for 237.
He's out, is
Kent, yes, but it's still. I'll tell you what, when you get into pensions, and they're talking about pensioning you off, it's a pretty good response that from Darren Stevens.
Oh, not half, as here comes Beard again, and bowls. Smith has worked this ball for the first run since tea, probably be 2 of them, and will be, as Sam Cook makes ground from long leg round to behind the square leg umpire, and score up to 90 for 3. It wasn't outside leg stump, but it was on leg stump, and just enabled the batsman to lever it away.
And I sort of can imagine how the conversation was all ready to go. Darren, you've been a legend at the club, but you know, we can't have you blocking out any youngsters in the starting 11. Now he can say, well, you find me those youngsters that are going to pick up all the wickets that I have, double hundreds. Yeah, that might change things a bit now, I think.
Beard to Smith. And Smith has played this one away, and that will go for 4. Beautifully timed. Again, Beard straying on to leg stump, which he didn't do in his spell before tea. And first ball went for 2, and this one for 4, and it's 94 for 3. And Smith on to an impressive 34. Continuing the talk about Darren Stevens, I was mentioning how Essex bowled out Kent at the end of August this year for 40, and they were 9 for 5. And when we were live on air, I said, well, if it's any consolation to Kent supporters, this isn't the first time I've seen Kent 9 for 5 against Essex. Just break in, because here's Beard, 3 slips, no gully at the moment, bowls, and this again is down leg side. He's not getting his line right in this over, 94 for 3. I said the previous occasion was at Chelmsford, 6 or 7 years ago, Kent 9 for 5. I said, if it's any consolation, the next partnership put on 200. And it was Darren Stevens with Geraint Jones. They both got hundreds, and once that partnership was broken, the last 5 wickets went down for about 15 runs. It was an extraordinary game, absolutely ruined by the weather. It ended in a draw, as here comes Beard in, bowls, ball played back to the bowler. Now today, going back to the game at Headingley, Yorkshire had Kent at not very many for 5, about 60 for 5. And what followed, this 300 partnership with Sam Billings, which is over now, but what an innings from Darren Stevens, 237.
And as I say, I can understand those chats that happen with an older player. You know, are you blocking out a youngster from the... If you're doing what he's just done, well, you just sign wherever you want to, really.
More about on that very point in a moment. Here's Aaron Beard in and bowls, and this ball's played to Ravi Bopara in front of the square leg umpire. There's no run. Beard's over comes to an end. Just having something pointed out to me.
Yeah, they're off a bad light at the Aegeus Bowl.
Yes, with
Which is
Somerset
why they're with us.
23 for 2. Now, Davis is out for 10 to, who else? Kyle Abbott, who also had VJ, played for Essex last year, LBW for 0. So 23 for 2, replying to 196. Thank you very much, Nick Gledhill, for drawing my attention to that. Talking of old players, Ryan Tendescata on this very field right now, 39 years of age. And again, it is said he will play for another year at least, and that's good news for Essex.
Cook continues from the river end to Ben Folkes, is off the mark in immaculate fashion, just waits for the ball, lets it come to him and then clips it off the front foot through backward point wristily for 4. It's a lovely shot from Ben Folkes, and he's off the mark with a boundary. Smith 34, Folkes 4 if you're just joining us again after tea here at Chelmsford on this opening day. Ollie Pope has gone. First ball after tea, LBW to Sam Cook. Talking about Cooks as well, the other bit of news from Kent today is that Simon Cook's coming back as their bowling coach, which seems a very good move.
Yeah.
A man who knows Kent very well, of course. A man of Kent.
Yeah, poor delivery, that one from Cook, and well played for 4 by Folkes.
Sam Cook is in once more, and Folkes is forward, wants a quick single, gets a quick single. It's good running. Up there to Ravi Bapara's right at cover point. 1 more to the total.
Good judge of a run. Then Folkes very quick to seize on any half chance. There are a lot of batsmen, because it went pretty near the fielder, a lot of batsmen would just have settled for a dot ball there, but he was very, very quickly off the mark, 99 for 3. But yeah, these players who may be seen to be past their prime have a great deal still to contribute.
Well, I don't know what's going on behind us. Apologies for that. As forward goes the right-handed Smith and pushes this one out into the offside, rolls out there towards extra cover. I'm not sure what all that noise was in the background then. Sorry to everyone about that. And forward went Smith to that delivery, and there is no run.
Yes, I think it's a combination of our scorer, David Jackman, and Johnny Barron there.
What a combination. What a combination.
You know there's trouble the moment they get together.
He's been on stage with Hugh Jackman, I think. But
yes.
As in over the wicket once again. Oh, gone outside edge. Smith caught in the slips by Harmon off Cook. And I think he was looking to angle that down to third man. And Jamie Smith, after playing so well, has just hung the bat out there. Thick edge. Harmon with the catch. 99 for 4. And Jamie Smith has gone for 34.
Well, perfectly described. He'll be very disappointed because he's played thoroughly well there, and I actually think Jamie Smith has looked in the least trouble of all the batsmen. There's been quite a lot of playing and missing, and on occasion he's been the one, but I think on fewer occasions than anybody else. And he played Simon Harmon, who had a lengthy spell. I think he bowled 10 overs in the first session here, came on only around about the 8th over. And it takes a lot to survive, and to survive well. The bowler that is Simon Harmon, you know, he has people in so much difficulty. Ollie Pope, for example, found him far more difficult to negotiate than Jamie Smith did. But having played so well, you rightly described, he rather hung the bat out at one that he shouldn't really have been playing at, and he picked the wrong man as well, because Simon Harmon is a terrific slip catcher. He's got wonderful hand-eye coordination. It was, as slip catches go, fairly simple, let it be said, and he departs for what had looked like, not only did he get 34, but he looked good for doubling that.
Yeah, and he'll be disappointed. Worked so hard for those runs to Jamie Smith. He's only just got himself up the steps away to our right-hand side. But Cook and Essex, very good after tea. Couple of quick ones. And now you've got 2 fresh batsmen at the crease. Folkes with 5 to his name, and Will Jacks back into the side for Surrey. So Will Jacks, who had a terrific start to the season, made his maiden championship 100 against Kent at Beckenham, and then it just all sort of tailed off a touch for him going into the T20s. And Will Jacks' last game in the championship, just checking the stats here, was the Hampshire game at the Oval a few weeks ago, where he made 17.
Sort of worry for Surrey here would be that Sam Cook is a bowler. If he gets the scent of success up his nostrils, he can take some keeping out.
Over the wicket he comes then to Jack's first ball. Jack's forward, bounces on him, pushes it out into the offside.
Admittedly,
no run.
Admittedly, you can say that about a lot of bowlers, but he in his short career so far, Sam Cooke only made his debut in September 2017, and before the month was out, and therefore the season was out, he already had 2 5-wicket hauls to his name, and the first time I saw him was in the tour game that year, and I was immediately impressed. He made an impression on everybody that day, and he's never really looked back since.
Over the wicket comes Cooke once more. Jacks is forward. Plays this one down into the gully. Apologies, Jacks's last game was at Trent Bridge against Nottinghamshire. Terrific over from Sam Cooke. Well, we were lucky enough to see Sam Cooke bowling in Dubai for the MCC against Surrey in that Champions opening game. He bowled beautifully there as well. But yeah, Will Jacks this season, he started with 88 and 54 against Essex at the Oval, 50 at Taunton, and then 120 against Kent at Beckenham, and then it's just tailed off for him really. And didn't play in the games against Somerset, Yorkshire, Warwickshire, Kent at the Oval, and then back for Nottinghamshire, and then back today. So he'd love a score to finish off the season. Made his first championship 50 from memory, his maiden championship 50 in that dramatic final game against Essex last year.
Remember it well. Looked a really good player, and I'm sure, even if he's been inconsistent this season, that he will go the right way. He looks a terrific player. But here comes Aaron Beard to bowl initially to Ben Folkes from the Hayes close end. The good Yorker, but it's very well played by Folkes. Secret there is that he's very nimble on his feet, Folkes, and good use of the feet there to get forward, play it back past the bowler, but it's intercepted at mid-on and there's no run. The score remaining 99 for 4. So Essex have had a couple of successes since the tea interval, taken unusually at 4:15 because we only started at 2:15. 55 overs can be bowled today as Beard is in, bowls down leg side, and 99 for 4 remains the score as it goes through to Adam Wheater, and that is assuming 55 overs can be bowled, assuming that the bad light doesn't return. I don't think there's going to be any rain. It's actually high pressure over the country at the moment, but it was forecast. You can get this with high pressure. Sometimes you get low cloud cover. And Beard is in with 3 slips but no gully. Bowls and Folkes whips this ball off the pads for 4 down to fine leg, and again it was the perfect ball from Folkes' point of view, with it was sort of on middle and leg, half volley. All he had to do was get a bit of wood in the way, and away it sped to the boundary. Applause for the Surrey 100. 103 for 4 coming up in the 37th over. But Beard, who has a tendency to bowl down leg side, corrected that perfectly in a wonderful spell, where with any luck he could easily have picked up a couple of wickets before tea. But since tea, most of his deliveries have been either on leg stump or outside. Here he is again. Bowls to Folkes, that's a better delivery. Folkes plays it well, looks in reasonable touch here, plays it down to mid-on, there's no run.
Well, where he's very good before tea in that 5-over spell, Beard, was he just banged away on a line and length.
Yes.
Just kept hitting a good line, good length, on or about that off stump. But a couple of times in this over, he's just drifting on to leg stump.
Yes, he's 17 off 6.4 overs, but at one point he bowled 5 overs for only about 6 runs in that spell before tea.
Yeah, it's 5 overs, 2 mains, none for 7.
Here he comes then, in from the Hayes close end. Bowls again down leg side, 4 more. And really it's just an action replay of 2 balls ago. The problem, I'm sure Beard is the first to know, is that he's overbalanced and bowled it on or outside leg stump, and Folkes particularly favours just clipping the ball off the pads. It's one of his strengths, and easily picks up a second boundary and moves along to 13.
Well, I think he might be trying a bit more here. That's the thing. I think because he bowled so well before tea, as I say, just kept it simple before tea, he might be over-trying the cleverness here.
107 for 4. bowls. And this ball again is whacked away to the leg side boundary, which shows you really that was something of a half tracker, and folks seized on length immediately and just belted it to the square leg boundary. A pour over that from Beard, and this is where he's only a young bowler. It's his first real full season, so you have to be patient with young players. I'm not suggesting he won't have a very, very good future, but it's very obvious where the improvement has to come. He can bowl really good wicket-taking deliveries, but he must educate himself out of straying onto leg stump the way he has been guilty of in that over, and Folkes has ruthlessly exploited his weakness by hitting him for 3 boundaries in the overs, rocketed along to 17, and Surrey are 111 for 4.
Yeah, and I think the captain will ruthlessly whip him out the attack.
Yeah.
Now, Porter would be the obvious man to bowl, because what Essex don't want is a good 10-15 minutes for Surrey with the ball pinging off to the boundary, as we've just seen in that over. It's Cook from the river end into Will Jacks. Jacks forward, he comes to a good length ball. Terrific crowding today.
Well, there is when you think that they saw nothing till 2:15. You couldn't have blamed them if they'd given up altogether. And indeed, many of us were saying as we walked round the ground, we're going to see a ball bowled today. And the forecast wasn't all that encouraging. So I think we can consider ourselves lucky in that we've had some play, and it's been extremely enjoyable play.
Certainly has. Well, we did a couple of circuits of the ground
We
during
did.
the bad light.
We turned the clock back there.
Stories of yesteryear as short ball from Cook is tucked away by Jacks off his hip down towards long leg, and there is Jamie Porter down there at long leg. One more to the total. Every time it must be a sponsor or something, but every time I look down towards the Hayes Close end on the fencing, there's a massive picture of some tiger's eyes, and it's like there's an enormous cat just peering.
Yes, I think you've called the likely bowling change well. I've just seen Porter loosening up
near
on the long leg boundary.
The big cat's
That's
eyes
right, yeah.
down there. Terrifying. As Ben Folkes is just waiting for Tenduscarter and Cook to work out what they want to do with the field. And then Cook, over the wicket he comes, running away from us, and Folkes is on the back foot, just trying to manoeuvre this one to the left of Ravi Bopara in there at cover point. We've got scoreboard TV in here in the commentary box, which is tremendous. So we can see the scoreboard on the TV away to our right hand side.
Yes, you were just making the excellent point that Essex's worry over Beard is you can sort of lose your way in sort of 20 minutes cricket if someone's proving very expensive.
Can't afford to do that in this game, as this one's left alone outside the off stump to Ben Folkes. But the only reason I say that is you've got to keep up with what's happening down at the Ageas Bowl. Now the fact is that they're off the bad light. Somerset have picked up their 3 bowling points, but they're already 2 down with the bat, and that's taking the same sort of course as the Surrey game last week. They picked up 1 bowling point here today of Essex. They would dearly love to try and pick up another one before stumps, possibly even another couple, as this is a lovely shot from Ben Folkes, checking it behind square. Exactly what we talked about, trying to get it to that left-hand side of Ravi Bopara, and that time he has got it to the left-hand side of Ravi Bopara, and that whistles over the boundary rope and away for 4. 116 for 4.
Well, Folkes has started in magnificent form here. It's the certainty with which he's played his shots that's so impressive, because he's new to the crease, remember, and came in when Pope was out to the very first ball after tea, and we've only had 4 or 5 overs since, and he's already rocketed along to 21 not out and playing with a degree of majesty out there.
Yes, and I think that over from Beard has just got him ticking.
Yeah, no, that's right.
Now he's just played that shot away through backward point, and I think it's 5 boundaries in this 21. As over the wicket once more is Cook to him. He's forward, thickish inside edge, running away into the leg side, down towards Porter at long legs. Good running this, comes sprinting back for the second. Does Ben Folkes, and they'll pick up 2. End of the over, and 118 for 4. Folkes on to 23 from 17 balls. We saw last week James Vince at the Ageas Bowl walk out and just take the game by the scruff of the neck. Now, Surrey did bowl very, very poorly on the second day, but Vince at one point was just dealing in boundaries. We hadn't had anything above 2 and over, and suddenly we were on to 9 and over with James Vince batting. It was much the same start as we've seen from Ben Foakes here. He just got going because Surrey bowled both sides of the wickets to him, and then they just couldn't stop him.
No, good description. Again, brilliant bit of running by Foakes to make what really should probably only have been a single into 2 runs there when he clipped the ball off the pads, saw it was Jamie Porter, who wouldn't be the quickest over the ground, and also that he'd have to run round the ball before he could pick it up and throw it, and got back for a very well-judged second run. As I say, Foakes looks in magnificent touch here. How Essex would like to get him out, but in the meantime, Porter does duly take over from Beard at the Hayes close end. He's in and bowls, and Jacks leaves the ball outside off stump to go through to Adam Wheater. 118 for 4. Scorecard: Stoneman LBW bowled Porter 16. Borthwick caught Wheater bowled Porter 20. Consecutive Porter overs there. Wickets at 36 and 37. 88 for 2 at tea. Then Pope LBW Cook first ball after tea for 23. And in Cook's next over, Smith caught Harmon second slip for a very good 34. Wickets at 88 and 99. It's now 118 for 4. Porter's in. Bowls to Jacks. Oh, he only just comes down on that. And he hadn't really moved decisively, moved his feet there. And I thought to all the world that he might well be trapped LBW, but at the critical moment, he just got the bat down and survives.
Yeah, he didn't go anywhere on the crease, played that from the crease. Gentleman away to our right-hand side, who magnificently has, I think, brought his entire digital radio with him. He's got his aerial up. I don't think he's listening to us, but he's got his aerial up, and he's got his digital radio there.
Porter bowls. Jacks forward, that's much better in terms of foot movement. Big stride forward, gets it a yard down the wicket and outside the line of off stump. Head right over the ball and just plays a model forward defensive shot into the offside. Wesley Fields in the covers, 118 for 4.
You don't often see that these days because of technology, but well batted, sir. He's brought his whole digital radio with him. Got his massive aerial sticking up in the air to get the best signal. As I say, I don't think he's listening to us. He's possibly listening to drive time.
Porter's in. Bowls, and a lot of wrist in this shot. Bottom hand shot from the batsman there, Jacks, who works it to mid-on. And Beard, and there's no run. The score remaining at 118 for 4. A fascinating contest with Essex having conceded a 50-run partnership between Pope and Smith up to the tea interval, breaking it with the very first ball afterwards. Cook then also picking up a second wicket and removing Smith. Pope and Smith in quick succession, but then Foakes playing some glorious shots, taking Surrey to the current score, which remains at 118 for 4 as Jacks plays the next delivery out to Wesley in the covers. And we're in the 39th of 55 overs minimum that must be bowled, provided the light holds today. And I'm delighted to tell you at the moment we've got the best light of the day here.
Well, and the other thing to say is Tenduskarter's got control again now. Straight away with Porter back into the attack. Control again for Ryan Tenduskarter.
Porter comes into bowl to Jacks. 2 slips and a wide gully. And this one keeps a bit low, played firmly back to the bowler, no run there. Porter throws the ball to Wheater because that's the end of his over. Applause for a maiden. It's probably fair to say just for the moment, with Jacks particularly new to the crease, that you'd rather be bowling to Jacks than Foakes, who's looked absolutely lethal out there. Any sort of error in line or length, and he's been merciless in the way he's punished it. A most convincing start to him on 23, 1 to Jacks, 118 for 4 in 39 overs.
Yeah, and I think nothing against Big, because you can bowl the odd bad over, but straight away that's a good decision from Tenduskarter's gone right out the attack, get Porter back in, get me some control again. And immediately life looked a bit tougher there for Will Jacks, having just come to the crease. But 118 for 4, it's interesting this. What have we got left today? We've got another 16 remaining today. Now, Essex ideally would like Surrey 6 down tonight with another bowling point in the bag. Surrey could get to stumps 5 down, lose 1 more in the next 16 overs. They won't be too upset with where they find themselves, mainly because the sun's coming out all day tomorrow, they're saying.
Yes, of course, they might just be worried on that score that if they are 5 or worse, down, in better batting conditions, Essex might bat at rather a good time.
Cook is in over the wicket to Folkes, who punches off that back foot straight out towards cover point, and there's no run. But the thinking changed completely from this morning to lunchtime. Sure, Surrey would have bowled first.
Oh, definitely, yes.
And I just wonder if this is a case of hang in there till tonight, and then you get your reward tomorrow.
Well, that's right. I think Surrey will be very disappointed to have lost the two members of the 50 partnership for the third wicket in quick succession so soon after tea.
As in over the wicket, Cook driving is Folkes. That's well fielded by Ryan Tenderscarter, moving away to his left-hand side. And I think BBC Radio 5 Live Sports Extra have left us now to head back. I think they might well be back out there at the Aegeus Bowl. So I think they may have gone back there.
Tell you what, Folkes is really going after the bowling, isn't he? I mean, there was no run off that ball, but again, if Tenderscarter hadn't been in the way, it would have gone to the boundary.
He's timed it very, very crisply.
Beautifully.
Cook is in again to him, and he's looking to work down the leg side. Gets nothing on this, Ben Folkes. Well, look, I'm sure the coach's words are ringing in their ears still. He was not happy after Hampshire. So they have an opportunity here, Surrey, against a very good attack.
And similarly, words would have been said about Essex's performance up at Edgbaston. OK, the pitch was lifeless, but it wasn't the happiest of matches for Essex. They must have dropped about 5 catches altogether.
Cook over the wicket he comes to Folkes. Folkes covers up. Big shout of no. Back towards Will Jacks. That's pushed out to Ravi Bopara out there at cover point.
The one man who certainly wasn't going to be guilty of dropping any of those 5 catches, and indeed he caught 3 in Warwickshire's 500 and odd, was Simon Harmon, who took 6 wickets while doing that and effected a run out. His secret, he fields at second slip. It took one particularly outstanding catch there, and he takes the ball late, and therefore, just gives himself that extra fraction of a second to make sure he gets the hands in the right place.
He's got massive hands.
He has.
As in over the wicket comes Cook, and punching again is Folkes, nicely timed through the covers. Bopara's got something on this. Ryan Tenderscarter goes sprinting off. They'll look for 3, it'll just be 2, but again it's a nice looking shot from Ben Folkes, getting right on top of the bounce. Footwork's very decisive at the moment. He's on to 25.
Yeah, a couple of the veterans showing that they're still very fit. A dive from Bopara, OK, he could only slightly take the way off the ball, but it probably saved 2 runs, and Tenderscarter certainly saved 1 by then herring after the ball, covered at least 50 yards to get to it, to make sure that they would decide against going for the third. And Bopara's 34, Tenderscarter 39.
120 for 4, Surrey. Cook over the wicket to Folkes. Folkes pushes off the back foot down into the gully region, and there is no run as Dan Lawrence does the fielding, moving away to his right hand side. End of the over, so all a bit tighter again now for Essex. Picked up a couple of wickets since tea. Jacks has 1, 25 to Ben Folkes. Ollie Pope going first ball after tea. LBW to Cook for 23, and then Jamie Smith caught by that man Harmon. Talking about his big hands, and he took the catch very nicely off Cook for 34. That was 99 for 4. 21 added between these two.
Yes, I'll be a little surprised if it isn't Harmon who replaces Cook when he finishes his spell. He's bowling well, so I'm not saying that he'll come out of the attack any time immediately, but in the meantime Porter is certainly bowling this next over from the Hayes close end, and Jacks plays this first ball down to Beard at mid-on, and there's no run, and choosing to bat Surrey 120 for 4. You're listening to coverage on behalf of BBC Essex and BBC Radio London. Paul Newton here with Mark Church, Johnny Barron and Nick Gledhill. We'll soon be back with you. I'll make way for Nick Gledhill at the end of this over.
Yeah, I think, as I said, I think if Surrey lost 1 more but went to stumps 5 down, they'd be pretty happy with where they find themselves at the end of today.
Yeah.
It's not been straightforward, this, but Essex will still fancy their chances.
Porter, Hayes close end. 2 slips, gully. Bowls. Jacks, fine shot, 4 runs from the moment it left his bat. It was given a little bit of width outside off stump, and Porter invariably pitches the ball up, and Jacks, who's a very, very fine stroke player, lovely man to watch bat, and he just stroked it very elegantly through the offside field to the point boundary, and it moves along to 5, and the score to 124 for 4.
That's a lovely shot, isn't it? Just leant on it, sped off through cover point for 4.
And it went very quickly, and yet he hadn't really done anything more than just go toward the ball, and as you say, leant on it and stroked it away. Very, very nice shot indeed. As Porter, who's bowled 10.2 overs, 4 maidens, 2 for 41, bowls again. Oh, and that one, he wasn't quite there to the pitch of the ball. Jacks, who's going to come back for a second here. That's good running, despite a decent throw from Sam Cook, who has a strong arm on him down at long leg. But Jacks pushed slightly tentatively forward at that, wasn't quite at the pitch, and guided it away to deep backward square leg, picks up another 2, moves up to 7, 126 for 4.
Yeah, little bit of inside edge saved him there, Will Jacks, but at least he was getting a stride in.
Yes. And Porter, again, already 6 runs off this over. Bowls to Jacks. It's a good delivery and off-cutter, but Jacks again got that stride in. It's the way to play here, and I think on most of the grounds I've seen this season. Plays it back to the bowler, there's no run, the score remaining at 126 for 4. So often, though, if you take the game at Canterbury, where it was incredibly low scoring, Kent 226 and 40 all out, Essex 114 and 153 for 7. You can see how low scoring that was. But players just didn't get forward, and I think there were 14 LBWs in the match. Porter's in and bowls, and this is turned off the pads without timing. Beard can field, there is no run. And one of the most incredible stats of that game was that it was only in the 3rd innings of the match that an LBW decision was finally turned down. The fingers were just up almost as if it was mechanical. Sort of, if there's an appeal, you're out, mate.
You always know it's a bad day when the umpire's putting the finger up as the bowler runs past.
Yes, that's right.
You always think this is not going to be easy.
But the reason, Harmer had the right technique. He got a very good 30 when Essex were in danger of losing the match even then, and he got forward and outside off stump to everything, and that was what to do on that pitch. And it's not a bad idea on this one, as Jacks completes the over by playing the ball down, deliberately down to a wideish gully down Lawrence. No run on this occasion, but good runs to Jacks in that over. 6 of them, he has 7. 25 to the impressive Folks, choosing to bat. Surrey are 126 for 4 after 41 of 55 overs minimum to be bowled today, as Nick Gledhill will take over from me.
Thank you very much indeed, Paul, and as soon as Nick gets in here, Johnny Barron will take over from me, but Simon Harmer coming into the attack now with, what have we got left? 14 overs remaining today, so that's a good spell of bowling from Cook. Picked up 2 wickets straight after the tea break, did Sam Cook. Pope for 23, Smith for 34. Welcome back, Nick Gledhill, and in a moment you'll be joined by Johnny Barron.
Thank you, Mark. And of course we've had 2 instances of pairs of wickets going down. We had 2 in successive Porter overs, 2 in successive Cook overs. But on each occasion, Surrey have been able to launch something of a riposte, and that has happened again here. Initially led by Ben Folks taking on some wayward bowling from Aaron Beard. Porter has corrected that to a certain extent, and now it's going to be Simon Harmer. 126 for 4, so after just wobbling a little bit, Surrey, they will feel that, again, they're getting back into a reasonable position. And as I say, if Surrey can get 250 here, I think Essex are hoping to bowl them out for less than 200 after that 4th wicket went down, but that's looking less likely now. If they can get to 250, if you look at the way that things have gone here at Chelmsford this season, then that becomes quite a good score. So it's going to be Harmer to bowl to Folks, who's got 25 and 23 balls. He has a slip on a short leg, and he just goes across his crease and plays this one just 1 bounce to short leg, and there's no run. And Sports Extra are back with us. So the light is sort of coming and going a bit at the Aegeus Bowl, where Somerset are just struggling a bit in reply to that Hampshire 196, and that one just helped round the corner by Folks. He went back into his crease and worked it down to backward square leg. Here, with Sports Centre just rejoining us, sorry, 126 for 4, And the game intriguingly poised. Surrey have played some lovely shots today. As here is Harmon bowling and just coming forward here. Folks just playing that one defensively up into the offside. The two youngsters, Pope and Smith, looked very good before tea. Both out in successive cookovers straight after tea. In fact, Pope was out to the first ball bowled after tea. But now these two starting to get established as Harmon bowls on that one just for a moment. Folks wasn't quite sure of his bearings with the drift there as he went forward looking to work it into the onside. In the end it came off more of an open face to backward square leg and there's no run. I'm Nick Leadhill and with me in the box is Johnny Barron, whose views we'll get on the current situation after this next delivery from Simon Harmer. 126 for 4, looking to add to his 71 championship wickets. Doesn't do so there as that's played. It's backward square on the offside and there's no run. The weather is its best for the day because there's a bit of blue sky and we've not seen that all day. The sun is sort of coming and going, but an indication we might get through the overs here. Wouldn't have thought that earlier on as this is played defensively from the crease by Folkes up into the offside. So Folkes has 25, plays out the maiden over, 7 to Jacks, 126 for 4. And Johnny, a case of 2 double strikes for Essex, but Surrey coming back each time and threatening to do so again.
Yes, indeed, and well, wickets have come along in a couple of clusters, haven't they, so far today? But Ben Folkes has been very businesslike, almost a run a ball. And Will Jacks, of course, we know what he's capable of. And it's intriguingly poised, because at this stage it's difficult to see where the clear advantage lies. Essex will know that if they take a couple, they could really force home a sizable blow or two, couldn't they, before the break later tonight?
I wonder how many runs Kent are going to get today. 448 in the day so far, 448 for 6, and the centrepiece, of course, that stand of 346 for the 6th wicket, a record for Kent against all comers. And Darren Stevens' career best 237 from 225 balls, 9 sixes, 28 fours. Sam Billings is 136 not out and batting with Ollie Rayner, so no respite for Yorkshire there at the moment. Astonishing day at Headingley, 126 for 4.
Here is Porter, who's in to Will Jacks, who's just pushing forward, and that ball dribbles out to Ravi Bapar up at mid-wicket.
And yeah, I mean, to say 3rd place is the prize there, and Kent really going for broke, because one of those two sides, or Hampshire, looking lucky to finish in 3rd place. We should congratulate Lancashire, by the way, who have been confirmed as Division 2 champions. That's because even though they were bowled out for 259 today, that didn't matter because Northants only made 217 in the promotion clash against Durham.
Here is Porter again, right arm over, who's in to Jacks, who's pushing forward. A ball of fullish length out into extra cover to Wesley, and there's no run.
And they've celebrated Lancashire by taking a couple of quick Middlesex wickets. In fact, they've got 3 in very quick succession. Middlesex 15 for 3. Nothing much riding on that game. Middlesex, of course, have lost all prospects of promotion after that big defeat against Durham in the last round of games. But Lancashire confirmed as Division 2 champions. It's a question of who's going to go up with them.
Here is Porter again, just polishing that ball up at the top of his mark, up from the Hayes close end. Right arm over into his stride now, who is in to Will Jacks and goes past the outside edge. Good delivery, just nipping away from the push on the offside.
Somerset did add just a handful of runs in that most recent period of play at the Aegeus Bowl, where they're coming on and off at the moment. They're 30 for 2 in reply to Hampshire's 196 all out, with BJ and Stephen Davis the men to go, both to Kyle Abbott. Tom Abel, who had a great match last time out, is there on 15, has been joined by James Hildreth. And Abbott's figures are rather useful, 2 for 1 in 6 overs with 5 maidens. It's not bad.
Andy, that new ball does all sorts at the Aegeus Bowl. If you can get through it, you can get a bit of value, as we saw last week. Here is Jamie Porter again, who's into Jacks and just strikes him high on the pad, looking to work away on the onside, and there's no run.
We've also, amongst all this, seen one of the biggest T20 international scores of all time today, with Scotland making 252 for 3 against the Netherlands. And George Munsey was the hero there for Scotland. He got 127 in 56 balls with 14 sixes and 5 fours. So a good day for Scottish T20 cricket.
Yes, indeed. I think a lot of these games are replacing what would have been the T20 Slam, which was due to start around this time. So a series of T20 internationals to replace the competition, which is being postponed. Here is Jamie Smith again to Will Jacks, who's squeezing it out to backward point. Nick Brown will do the fielding.
Strange spell that from Beard after tee, wasn't it? Because he bowled so well before tee that lost his way and has allowed Folkes a bit of a start. And although Folkes has sort of just gone in the shell a little bit since then, he's now got some runs under his belt and he's got himself set. So that was a bit disappointing from an Essex point of view because he had bowled so well in his earlier spell, Beard, and just bowled a little bit erratically and allowed Folkes particularly one very expensive over.
Yeah, it's kind of ebbed and flowed, hasn't it, this game, both in terms of wickets and runs. They've kind of all come in a bit of a clump. Jamie Porter is in to Jacks, who struck on the pad high. That'll be the problem as far as Porter's concerned. Ball just nipping back. Good over again from Jamie Porter. End of the over, 126 for 4. After 42 overs.
That bit of blue sky, having promptly welcomed its arrival, it's disappeared again, and we're back with the heavy cloud cover. And it's a chance we may not get through these remaining overs. We've done pretty well, given the fact that we were a real stalemate this morning. Everyone wondering what was going to happen. The umpires out there for most of the morning with the ground staff and just waiting for the light to improve. And it took until 2:15 before it was deemed playable. But the time has been sort of made up in terms of the entertainment value. 43 overs, 126 for 4. Some lovely shots, and Essex have bowled well. It's been a very good contest. So it's going to be Harmon into his 14th over, number 23, to bowl from the river end with a slip and a short leg, and he tosses that one up and it's driven away past the short mid wicket for a single, which will take the score along to 127 for 4, Folkes 6. And now it's going to be Will Jacks on strike. Harmon just having a word with Tom Wesley before he tosses the ball back to him. And they would love a couple more wickets this evening. Would Essex in the remaining 11 overs and 5 balls. That's just played off the back foot and rolls away into the offside, and there is no run. Jacks now on strike. And it has been, entertaining for the crowd. A good crowd. Just walking around the ground. Just sensed it was quite a big occasion for a Monday of a championship match. This is just played into the onside along the ground out towards short leg, and there's no run.
That's terrific numbers, isn't it? All the hospitality
very
boxes are full up, pavilion packed, Tom Pearce stand, a lot of seat going there as well.
And of course Essex were expecting 2 home matches in September, but only got 1, so people making the most of it. Here's one that Jacks is able to just work away in front of short leg out for a single towards Aaron Beard at deep mid wicket, and collects that one to move his own total to 8 and score to 128 for 4. Here's Harmon again. Slip in a short leg, bowls and just played off the back foot again, just past short leg and out towards deep mid wicket, almost exactly the same place as the previous stroke, and the result is 1 run. The difference is that this time it was Folkes who played the shot, and he's there on 27. It's 129 for 4. Surrey, who won the toss and chose to bat. As Harmon bowls, it's just played again defensively, head right over the ball for Jacks here, rolls up into the offside. We thought an interesting decision. We think they would have just inserted Essex this morning, but they decided that there wasn't going to be any particular reason. It was a typical Chelmsford pitch. There was no issue with dampness. The light was improving. I think probably they don't want Simon Harmon bowling last on this, 129 for 4.
Well, I think it's a big factor, isn't it? If you look at the way in which Essex have performed at home, unbeaten, of course. They've won all their games thus far. 49 wickets so far for Harmon inside that list of games, and understandably, the idea of trying to chase against a skilled technician like Simon Harmon would have been extremely difficult, to say the least.
5 Live Sports Extra with BBC Essex and BBC Radio London. Nick Ledhill and Johnny Barron here at the moment. Just after 5:25 on this opening day of the penultimate round of championship matches, and some intriguing games going on around the country. And more so than this one, of course, with this potential of a second championship in 3 years for Essex against the reigning champions, who've had a bit of an off year, but they'll know that with a strong finish they can set themselves up for perhaps a chance of their own tilt next year.
Here is Jamie Porter, who's into Folkes, who's driving elegantly, only as far as Wesley, that extra cover. 2 for 43 for Porter so far.
So Stoneman 16 and Borthwick 21 removed in consecutive Jamie Porter overs, and then Pope 23 and Smith 34 removed in consecutive Sam Cook overs. And I have to say, Smith, obviously, Pope a bit more of a known quantity. Smith, very impressive indeed, first time I'd seen him, and there's someone that I think Surrey were looking to ink into the middle order next year.
He's going nicely. Averaging 38 in his first-class career so far. Here is Porter again to Folkes. He's working well on the onside. Hasn't quite been the season for him. He's got, I think, 518 runs at 27 without a championship 100.
Well, there was a bit of talk about, he might come in for contention for the England wicket-keeping role once again. Of course, so many keepers around for England in the current setup with Butler as well as Bairstow, but I think it's been pointed out that folks have been a little bit short of runs of late and needs to make more of a case with the bat. His keeping skills are undenied.
Porter again. I don't remember who's into Folkes. He's all guiding it nicely. Very nicely. Late cut. Down through third man. Wide of Lawrence. And a wideish four slip. Beautifully played. Bit of width offered. And latched onto it nicely.
Yes, obviously Butler's had a pretty good test match, hasn't he? But Bairstow has been a little bit short of test match runs for a while, so folks can't be too far away from a recall.
I think, yes, Bairstow only averages about 20, I think, since the beginning of the West Indies series. He's struggling in 2019.
I think folks just has to make his case a little bit more strongly and consistently in the championship.
Here is Porter, who's into Folkes, who's working well on the onside up to mid-on. There won't be a single there. Yeah, I mean, he had a rough old time in the West Indies. He dropped halfway through that series. Bear in mind, of course, he was player of the series in Sri Lanka. A player of 270 odd runs in that series, including 100 on debut. So he's proved that he can do it at the top level. But yeah, weighted runs would have been useful this season. Still a chance, of course, two championship matches, including this one to go. As far as tour party berths are concerned, here is Porter. He's pushed out on the offside, up to tender scarf, so a wideish mid-off, and there's no run.
Somerset started 8 points above Essex, and they bowled Hampshire out, so they at one point had stretched that lead up to 1,196 all out Hampshire, and that was mainly down to Liam Dawson's fantastic 103 from 156 balls with 6 and 11 fours, in a partnership with Keith Barker, who made 40, and Essex have just clawed one of those points back by getting that third Surrey wicket, the one in fact that fell off the first ball after tea, Ollie Pope's dismissal to Sam Cook. So the gap currently back at 10. Essex looking to cut it back a little bit further this evening.
Porter, who is into Folkes, is pushing forward back to the bowler. And the fullish length, end of the over. 133 for 4 after 44.
Yes, I think at one point where the light was today, Johnny, I was thinking that a draw was back in the equation for this game, but seeing the pitch, you would have had to have lost all of at least a day to have the draw really back in the equation. You do feel there's going to be a result here with the amount of play we've now had today.
Yeah, you can lose a day, can't you? You can even lose a day, to be honest. I still think you're going to get a result.
But a draw really, if Somerset were to beat Hampshire, even if they don't get many batting points, that wouldn't be a lot of use for Essex. And yes, it's really intriguing how these two games are. They're both quite nicely poised. 196 all out, Hampshire playing Somerset's 30 for 2, and here Surrey 133 for 4. So neither side in either game here and at the Aegeus Bowl has gained a significant advantage yet, as that's played off the back foot. First ball of Harmon's new over, and Jacks plays it to backward square leg, and there's no run.
Yeah, from a neutral point of view, also, of course, as you go into that final game at Taunton with all to play for between the two sides, would be an incredible way to finish what has been an incredible summer.
Harmon bowls, and it's just played defensively, head right over the ball from Will Jacks, and rolls up into the offside, and there is no run. Will Jacks, who's developing all the time, of course, for Surrey. Can he play a major role here? He gets a well-flighted delivery, which he drives beautifully for 4 through the covers. That's a lovely shot. It's rolling up into the rope now. A long chase being given back by Sam Cook. He had no chance of stopping that. That was a beautiful piece of timing, and takes him double figures. He goes along with that shot. 212. It's 137 for 4. Sorry.
Yeah,
a good part.
Yeah, didn't play. There's no question about that. All this young crop can.
That was a nice stroke. It was flighted. He spotted there was just room to get in line and play that one away through the offside, and did so very well indeed. He's got to the pitch a bit, and a nice looking stroke. Harmer bowls to him again, and this one is just on middle stump, and he's back into his crease and playing up into the offside, and there is no run. So Simon Harmer looking to add to his prolific ball, of course, at Chelmsford this season. When we were doing the maths at Edgbaston, he had 49 of his 71 wickets here, and looking to get on the board today as he goes round the wicket, and that's the delivery which is just drifting down the leg side, but Jack realises he doesn't have to play a shot. Jack's averaging 30, maybe a touch disappointed by that. He's got a century and 350 so far in the campaign. As Harmer again tosses that one up, and it's driven away and on the bounce to backward point and stop there. I think he was just trying to hit that between point and cover, but just hit it a bit squarer than intended. I think, yes, he's just showing the shot again, which played perfectly, would have by cover, but it didn't. And it's the end of the over, a dot ball. Folkes 31 and Jacks is there on 12, and Surrey are 137 for 4, and again a bit of a partnership taking shape here.
Yes, indeed. I think most of the numbers, if you look at the Surrey numbers, as far as the top order are concerned, probably reflect where Surrey are in the table, which is nowhere as far as challenging for the title is concerned, and that's largely because it's been a bit of a mixed bag, it's safe to say. A few good numbers to start off with, and then it's tailed off considerably. Looking to try and finish this season with a bit of credit intact in these final couple of games.
Yes, after the wobble, to put it mildly, of course, on days 2 and 3 at the Ageas. But we were unlucky enough to see that, Johnny.
I got back, I did, yes, I was there for day 2 and 3. Didn't quite make it into day 4.
No, it's
which was fraction disappointing.
All ended very quickly.
Well,
one of the rare occasions, I can never remember a situation where a part-time spinner has been brought on just to get keep the overs going, and he promptly bowled the side out.
Yeah, it was absolutely fantastic. Here is Porter, and goes past the outside edge of them folks. Ball that bounces on him. Might have dropped the hands on that, but I think we'll give the benefit of the doubt to Porter. Yes, it was the game was very evenly poised after the end of the first day.
Yes, it was.
Both sides around about a sort of 150, 60 odd. And Hampshire were absolutely brilliant in their second innings. It started with Felix Organ at the top of the order getting a 50 to get them off to get through the new ball, and then James Vince. Wow. Unbelievable. 91 off 59 balls. Here is Jamie Porter driving. It's Ben Folkes only as far as 10 to Scarter up mid-off, and there's no run.
Yes, and number 5 now, James Vince. So he's moving around the order, but just probably is unlikely to get into the England side.
Oh, I wouldn't say that.
Well, I can't see him getting in.
That.
Is he going to get in at 5? I mean, that's the trickiest area of all to get in. England have got about 4 or 5 number 5.
To be fair, they have got hundreds of candidates in that middle order. I just feel that the way in which they play. Yeah, he's a good player. Here is Porter, who's left alone outside the off stump.
I mean, realistically, I think the best place for him to bat is 3, and to hope that Root moves themselves down to 4 and Pope at 5, and then Stokes at 6, which some would say that's too low for Stokes, but it is the batting all-rounders position. It's Flintoff, it's Blotham, and it's where that's really his role now, isn't it, Stokes, as the batting all-rounder.
Well, I think the thing for James Vince, and the thing, light might be an issue here.
It's just tailing up again.
It's got a little bit darker. They're off. They are off. I think a meter reading will take place fairly shortly, and a number of people in front of us think that might be that.
Well, it is after the schedule closed, you say, which was 5:30. So it's amazing how the Test matches have got away with all this problem. It seems over the last couple of weeks, was starting at 11 o'clock, but seem to remain unscathed with this particular problem. But as you might expect in September, and the reason we start at 10:30 is the suspicion is that after 5:30 might be causing a problem, and off they go. And I think Surrey, after that early setback with double strike at the start of the session, will be quite pleased to come out of that at 137 for 4, Johnny, if there's no further play. Yeah, indeed. I think it's considering they won the toss and elected to bat, I think it's a fair reflection at this time of year on what we know will be a surface that's going to offer throughout, because it's not in Essex's interest for it to do anything other. They need a result in this game. But it's interesting what you say about bad light in Test matches. Over here, or games when the artificial light takes over, but abroad you find actually they'll play in pretty much anything if they've got the lights on. I think actually most of the time, apart from day 1 at Old Trafford, the last 2 tests have been blessed with pretty good weather. The nice weather has arrived. and the sunnier weather. It was beautiful weather, of course, over the course of the weekend. So if we don't get any more play today, I think we look at a situation where honours are again pretty even, given the nature of the pitch here at Chelmsford, where you don't get big scores this season in the first innings. And I think anything more than 250 from Surrey would put a little bit of pressure on Essex. Stoneman and Borthwick combined for 36 in 8 overs and look very good with some lovely strokes. Very high number of threes we noted early on as Porter overpitched a bit, but then both out in successive Porter overs. And then Smith and Pope also combined well. They added 51 for the third wicket before they both went in successive Sam Cook overs after tea. And ever since then, at 99 for 4, it's been this unbroken stand of 38 between Ben Foakes, who's led the way with 31, and 12 to Will Jacks, which has given us a position of near parity in the game. Porter 2 for 47 in 13 overs and 3 deliveries, and Sam Cook has 2 for 35 in 11 overs. Harmon number 30 in 15, and Aaron Beard 7 overs, none for 25. And some good strokes, Johnny, and I think honours pretty even at this stage. Surrey will feel, in context of this game, which is all about bouncing back from last week, isn't it? That they'll be frustrated that we've seen a couple of innings cut off, particularly Pope and Smith, just when they're looking very good. But there's batting down the order as these two are showing.
Yeah, I mean it's a card of fits and starts, isn't it? That's the thing. If you look at the scores that we've got through the course of this card so far, and it's a question what these this middle order and the remaining wickets in hand can produce for Surrey. Another 100 from here and they're bang in the game, because Essex of course will have to bat fourth, and the fact that Harmer's a big feature here, well, if Harmer's a big feature here, that means Amar Verdi, who gives it a great big rip, will be a massive factor as well.
Just having a look at what's going on elsewhere. Well, we won't go just yet. We'll just the umpires are still out there. We'll get, I think there's been no announcement yet. They have taken the stumps down, haven't they? Which that's a bit of a clue.
There's been something on the PA a second ago.
We should wait for confirmation that is it for the day, but hopefully we'll try and get that. Still just showing match suspended. Also, bad light, as I say, an issue at the Aegeus Bowl, as it has been for the last couple of hours. Somerset are 30 for 2 in reply to Hampshire's 196. At Trent Bridge, it's been Stephen Mullaney and Joe Clark's day. 179 for Mullaney, 125 for Clark, and with the relegation confirmed, Nottinghamshire have promptly made one of their best batting performances of the season. In fact, really since the opening game, 4-14 for 6 in the 94th over, after Warwickshire said that you can have a bat, which they'll be rather regretting. So a good day for Nottinghamshire at last, but albeit too late at Trent Bridge. But a spectacular day for Kent, who were 39 for 5 and are now 454 for 7, and Billings is just out for 138. That's 5 wickets for Oliver. And Stevens, of course, the man of the day, 237 off 225 balls, a career best with 9 sixes and 28 fours. Division 2, interesting actually. Derbyshire 138 all out, but Sussex were 25 for 3, but have recovered to 51 for 3. So you fancy Sussex in a game that they need to win to keep the pressure on for promotion. They're well placed there. Glamorgan simply have to win against Leicestershire, and they've had a pretty good day, 284 for 4 in that one. The champions are Lancashire, that is confirmed, 259 all out. Middlesex 20 for 3, nothing much riding on that game. Plenty riding on Northants Durham. Northants 217, Durham 34 for 3. A couple of wickets have just gone down there, and it's Ben Sanderson who's got 2 of the 3 with Gareth Berg, who was with the Hampshire. He's got the third, 34 for 3 Durham. If Northants win that, it depends on the Sussex result, but they're either promoted or very, very close to promotion if Northants were to win that game. And they're well placed at the moment. And Worcestershire 221 all out. Gloucestershire, who need to win after they lost their previous game, 57 for 4 at New Road, and there are 3 wickets there for Ed Barnard. So the contenders not all necessarily having things their own way. Certainly Gloucestershire and Sussex have lost wickets in pursuit of fairly moderate totals, but we'll see how those games progress tomorrow. But here, we've still got the umpires out there. We've got 4 members of the ground staff. We've got the 3 sections of the covers about to be dragged over into the middle. We are past the scheduled close for the day, and I think the very firm opinion is, I don't know whether they're going to sort of wait till 6 o'clock or whether they would do in this situation because of what the schedule close might be, but I suspect it would be pretty unlikely if we're going to see much more. We've got the floodlights taking quite a firm effect at the moment, and it's a bit more reminiscent of how it was for most of the morning.
Yep. Yes, unfortunately, disappointing scenes here at the County Ground, Chelmsford. I think a lot of people have slightly given up the ghost, haven't they? There's quite a few away, and the loyal souls in the Tom Pearce stand over to our right-hand side who are sticking around. But I think an inevitable halt proceedings is probably the most likely outcome, especially with the fact there isn't a great deal of wind either. So the light that we have here is probably what we have, or will have, for the course of the rest of the day.
We've still got their light meters, which must have run out of battery by now, out there, and having a look at them. The two umpires Gould and Saggers. What would you reckon in the Surrey dressing room they'd like as a realistic first innings score from this point in this situation? Sure, I
think anything on the board, to be honest. I think if they were to get up and above 200, 250, I mean, the danger is tomorrow that the sun's out and suddenly batting becomes significantly easier. Now, if they lose a stack of wickets in the morning session, and then suddenly Essex have lovely conditions to bat from that point onwards, and Essex could get themselves into quite a strong position. However, if Surrey do manage to get through a difficult period tomorrow morning, they could well put something serviceable, and I just think that fourth innings is going to be a big factor.
Yes. Well, the good news for Surrey is that even though we've had sunshine at times here at Chelmsford, we've never had benign batting conditions, even if the sun's been out. So the pitch is always doing enough, Johnny. So I think 250 plus really puts Surrey very firmly in the game, and it'll be interesting to see how the Surrey seamers can go with the new ball with those runs on the board. So I think we're in one of those stalemate situations again now. So I think probably at this stage our best bet is to take our leave of you, because I get the feel just what the umpires are moving, which suggests that just really to have a chat with the ground staff. So nothing of any significance. So I think it's probably an appropriate time to take our leave of you and to say that in the probably unlikely circumstances that we have more play this evening, we will of course be straight back with you. But as it stands, tomorrow Dick Davis is joining us, and otherwise it'll be myself, Johnny Barron and Mark Church, the commentary team for tomorrow. And don't forget, I think we're fairly confident we'll start at 10:30 tomorrow with a decent forecast, so game due to start at 10:30. As I say, if there is any more play, you'll be able to see on the BBC Cricket page and via Twitter that that it's happening, and of course we'll be straight back with you. Otherwise, we will be with you in the morning with a score here at the County Ground. Surrey, who won the toss and chose to bat after 46 overs, 137 for 4. And for now, we'll wish you well and enjoy your evening.